Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. You're here early. Congratulations. And a big old congratulations to Chilipine over on YouTube. That's right, folks. I believe that the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel is back up. More about that later, but I do want to remind everybody that anything could happen. So if you're not yet doing it, a lot of people learned the lesson last week. You need to be following us in multiple locations. That includes youtube.com/Canary Cry Radio, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, and of course DLIVE.com/Canary Cry Radio. TV, DLIVE.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Go do it. Follow us all over the place and our Twitter accounts, things like that, to stay posted. But I wanted to make sure everybody knows to stay hydrated, and we got a great show for you today. It's going to get started in just a couple of seconds here, so tune in. Why don't you go ahead and hit the like button? If you haven't done it already, do that. Help the algorithms share the show out with people who have not seen it before. Okay, folks, let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 9th. 2021. This is episode 322. And today, bang! GAT epidemic? Yeah, well, I have no context, but I am best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz, the most woke Asian American podcaster in the world. I'm making that self-proclamation.
Wow.
Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And if you're watching on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, you'll notice that we did not, or were not able to go live for episode 321. That is because the Face Like the Sun channel received a strike from YouTube for an episode we published back in August of 2020. And of course, I appealed. And in the appeal, I stated, I am appalled that you would censor videos on a channel hosted by an Asian American. A little tongue-in-cheek. Yes. Given the current social conditions, it's alarming that YouTube would silence content published by an Asian American like myself. This kind of overreach, what did I say? By YouTube might be considered a violation of Biden's executive order to stop Asian hate. And normally when I do an appeal on YouTube, it takes a few weeks to maybe a month or two to hear back. Not
for them
so.
To tell you that they are not going to be bringing it back. Have they ever brought a video back of yours?
No. Not when they shut it off and delete it or whatever. So no.
Mm-hmm.
Not so this time. YouTube responded, "Hey, Face Like the Sun, we've reviewed your appeal for the following content. Devils in the Politics, CCNT 232. After taking another look, we can confirm that your content does not violate our community guidelines. Thanks for your patience while we reviewed this appeal. Our goal is to make sure content doesn't violate our community guidelines so that YouTube can be a safe place for all, and sometimes we make mistakes trying to get it right. We're sorry for any frustration our mistake caused you, and we appreciate you letting us know." So, there
How
you
polite.
go, YouTube. Yeah, super polite. They're very apologetic.
Right. It's a new age, Gonz.
I know.
The Asian Americans are getting the respect they deserve.
I guess. I use my privilege against them.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's like literally the only video that they've ever approved your appeal on.
Yeah, I know.
because we don't
funny.
cyberbully people.
We don't. And that's the other thing I mentioned. It's like
we're not harassing or cyberbullying anybody. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and of course, just as a side note, let's see. Oh, I guess the story's gone. I had it here ready. Susan, our good old friend Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, stated that it's easy to, quote, make up content and post it from your basement, end quote. So we boost, quote, authoritative sources. She basically admitted that,
Yeah, she's calling her own customers losers.
She's calling the people that made YouTube what it is.
Yeah.
A bunch of people in basements coming up with making up stuff. So,
yeah, that's the thing. She's calling everybody who makes independent media losers and saying they only boost verified mainstream outlets. So YouTube has gone from, the platform of the people to yet another outlet for mainstream media. Yeah. So great. Good job, Susan. Wow. What a great platform you have. Super cool.
It's not YouTube anymore. It's CoreTube.
MeTube. I have some breaking news. I don't think you had this. I was looking through our document here. I don't see any notes that you made about this. Did you have anything to say about Prince Philip?
It's at the very top if you'd look at the document there.
Yeah, see? I got you, Gonz.
No, it's at the top of the document.
Gonz, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a funny joke. It's literally the next item on the list.
Oh, I didn't get the joke.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not woke enough. I renounce my greatest woke man, Asian man ever.
Well, headline, NBC News mirrored on MSN.com here, and it happened. Headline, Prince Philip, husband of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, dies at 99. I don't know if this means anything to anybody.
It's a conspiracy. He was killed.
But I do know that we have UK listeners, and so if you're in the chat there, I'd be curious to know what your thoughts about this are. But Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth II's husband, and the longest-serving consort of any British monarch, has died at the age of 99. And a statement posted on the royal family's website Friday morning said, quote, "It is with deep sorrow that Her Majesty the Queen announces the death of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh." Quote, "His Royal Highness passed away peacefully this morning at Windsor Castle. Further announcements will be made in due course. The royal family join with people around the world mourning his loss."
If you take 99, if you take 99 on the 9th and you flip it all over,
oh wow,
666
revealed, beast system revealed,
exposed.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to get too far into conspiracy theories. The guy was 99 years old.
They killed him. They killed him off.
He was murdered by old age.
Death succumbed. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's not much for me to say. I mean,
there you go. UK listeners, if you care, our thoughts and prayers go out to you. If you don't care, they don't. Okay, well, let's talk about Flippy.
No.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Now let's talk about Flippy.
This Asian American power is going to your head.
Do you want fries with that?
All my articles are all jumbled now. What happened to...
It's going to his head, folks. The power is too much for him. With great Asian American power comes great Asian American responsibility.
Nah.
And so let's talk about Flippy for a second. If you're new to the show, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Now, we've been getting a little bit more heady recently, Gonz, with the Flippy updates, examining sort of the propaganda propaganda, the psychology behind robot-human interactions, the communication strategies on how, human beings are slowly being convinced that the robots are really here to help and there's nothing to worry about. So this is going to be another kind of heady article, but follow us here, because if you've been following Flippy for a while, we are starting to round out the picture of how things are going. This is from EurekaAlert.org, and the headline: robots can be more aware of human coworkers with system that provides context. Okay, we are equipping the robots with context. The headline reads like this: working safely is not only about processes, but context, understanding the work environment and circumstances and being able to predict what other people will do next. A new system empowers robots with this level of context awareness so they can work side by side with humans on assembly lines more efficiently and without unnecessary interruptions. Okay, so it's all about assembly lines. Instead of being able to only judge distance between itself and its human coworkers, the human-robot collaboration system can identify each worker it works with, as well as the person's skeleton model, which is an abstract of body volume, says Hongyu Liu, a researcher at KTH Royal Institute of Technology. Using this information, the context-aware robot system can recognize the worker's pose and even predict the next pose. These abilities provide the robot with a context to be aware of while interacting. They're teaching the robots body language, Gonz. Liu says the system operates with artificial intelligence that requires less computational power than smaller data sets than traditional machine learning methods. It relies instead on a form of machine learning called transfer learning, which reuses knowledge developed through training before being adapted into an operational model. The research was published in the recent issue of Robotics and Computer Integrated Manufacturing. It sounds like a magazine I need to be subscribed to, and was co-authored by KTH professor Lihu Wang. Liu says the technology is out ahead of today's International Organization for Standards, or ISO, requirements for collaborative robot safety. So implementation of the technology would require industrial action, but the context awareness offers better efficiency than the one-dimensional interaction workers now experience with robots, he says. Quote, under the ISO standard and technical specification, when a human approaches a robot, it slows down. And if he or she comes close enough, it will stop. If the person moves away, it resumes. That's a pretty low level of context awareness, he said. It jeopardizes efficiency, production is slowed, and humans cannot work closely with robots. Liu compares the context-aware robot system to a self-driving car that recognizes how long a stoplight has been read and anticipates moving again. Instead of braking or downshifting, it begins to adjust its speed by cruising toward the intersection, thereby sparing the brakes and transmission further wear. Experiments with the system showed that with context, a robot can operate more safely and efficiently without slowing down operation. In one test performed with the system, a robot arm's path was blocked unexpectedly by someone's hand. But rather than stop, the robot adjusted. It predicted the future trajectory of the hand, and the arm moved around the hand. Quote, this is safety not just from a technical point of view in avoiding collisions, but being able to recognize the context of the assembly line, he says. This gives an additional layer of safety. So, like I said, we have given the robots context. The robots can now identify body language. They have your skeletal model. Gonz, watch out. These robots can see your skeletal model and an abstract of body volume. So soon will come body shaming from these robots. It's, as always, put into the context of efficiency and safety, because that's how you sell robots. You got to make sure they're safe. But it's interesting because it's it's subtly saying, like, these robots, while they won't kill you, they're not going to wait for you to get out of the way to continue their work, human. You're slowing down the robotic efficiency of our factory or something like that. And, Gonz, as I've always said, and listeners will recognize, the only thing more dangerous than a robot without context is a robot with context.
Yep. I think this is, I guess, either racist or speciesist or just a prejudice in general towards people with quick twitch muscles.
Okay.
If they have quick twitch, they can approach the robot quickly, and I don't know that the robots are equipped to stop in time. Maybe a sloth, they can kind of stop and go around a sloth type of motion, but not the quick people. Similar
to how you look at Boston Dynamics, all sorts of robot demo videos. It's always very impressive when the robot is doing something, then a human walks in the way, and the robot stops and doesn't kill the human. And we're like, yay! The robot didn't murder someone. But now, when those moments back in the before times when we worked in offices or whatever, and you're walking down the hallway and somebody's walking the other way down the hallway, and then you both try to like move to one side, and then you end up doing that little dance because you're unable to predict where the other person's going. Instead of the robot just stopping and letting the human go by, now we're just going to all get into weird games of chicken in hallways, doing this little dance with robots.
Yeah, so a human can mistake in the robot arm for trying to stop or hinder one from walking across the hallway or whatever, Whereas the machine thinks, I'm just trying to get out of your way. But if you can't communicate, you can't figure it out, like your office situation there, throw eggs at him. Just violence.
Like the anti-robot militia in Phoenix, Arizona.
The extremists.
What was I going to say? Oh, well, and it'll be interesting to see if this gets put into place, because this context program is supposed to allow the robots to predict a human's next move and then to simultaneously, take an action. But here's the thing about humans: notoriously hard to predict what they're going to do next.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Hard to predict. Mm-hmm. And add quick twitch muscles, and you got a recipe for disaster.
Quick twitch. You get some Olympic level athletes in there. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Or like some football players. You think he's going to go right. Boom, he goes left.
Yeah, and juking these robots is going to become like a pastime around the office.
They're just weeding out the slow people. All right. Anything else on the Flippy here?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, let's get into one of our main stories, the big POLYTICK story.
It's Latin for many. Tick. They'll suck your blood. POLYTICK.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
This is CNBC.com. Biden says gun violence in U.S. is an epidemic. Unveils executive actions and calls for national red flag law. Now, did you sit through the presser there with Biden?
I did not watch the actual presser. No.
I was explaining to you before we went on live here that obviously Biden was reading from his prompter there, and I don't know much about guns. I'm a Second Amendment guy, but I don't know all the details of all the, nuances of all the laws and legalities. But I felt like an expert. Like, just listening to Biden talk, it's like, man, this guy really knows nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And he really,
he knows so little about guns that you felt.
Yes. I felt like a gun expert listening to Biden read off the prompter there. But let's kind of get a feel for what this is all about. President Joe Biden announced a series of executive actions on Thursday to reduce gun violence and urged Congress to pass broader gun control legislation. The bundle of actions, Biden's first attempt as president to tackle the fraught politics surrounding guns in America, was unveiled in the wake of a recent spate of mass shootings across the country. How convenient. Including Thursday in South Carolina, where 5 people were gunned down. In the past 3 weeks, other deadly mass shootings occurred in Georgia, Colorado, and California. And we'll tackle some of those in a moment here, just because the timing of it all was so spectacular. Going on, quote, "This is an epidemic, for God's sake, and it has to stop," Biden said in the Rose Garden speech. I wonder if that was written in the prompter or he just added a little flair. For God's sake.
He does like to add his Scranton flair.
Come on, man.
The White House's moves include directing the Department of Justice to craft a rule addressing the spread of untraceable ghost guns and publish an example of red flag legislation for states to follow. Red flag laws allow police or family members to petition a court to bar an individual from accessing firearms. Biden also called for a federal red flag law, saying such legislation would prevent suicides. I don't know if it'll prevent suicides. People figure anyway, protect women from domestic violence and stop mass shooters before they carry out an attack. Wow.
That would be nice if that would happen.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Biden announced he would nominate
create a utopia by creating a snitch system.
Yeah, Biden's utopia. I'm sure that'll be wonderful. Biden announced he would nominate former federal agent David Chipman to head the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. More on him in a moment. Chipman, who spent 25 years as an ATF special agent, is a senior policy advisor for the gun control advocacy group Giffords. Of course, they don't say much more about him. Again, more about him in a moment. Here's what Biden's actions will do, according to the White House. Direct the Justice Department to propose a rule within 30 days to help stop the proliferation of ghost guns, firearms assembled from kits that often lack serial numbers and are difficult to trace. Direct the DOJ to craft a rule within 60 days that clarifies the point at which a stabilizing arm brace effectively turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle, subjecting that firearm to additional regulations. Direct the DOJ to publish within 60 days model red flag legislation, which lets law enforcement officers or family members ask a court to temporarily bar someone from accessing guns under certain circumstances. The White House says the model legislation will make it easier for states to pass their own version of the law. And direct the DOJ to issue a comprehensive report on gun trafficking. You'd think they kind of already have that going there, but
no, because then the intelligence agencies would get busted.
Oh,
for all their gun trafficking.
That's right. It would impede on their business model.
Yeah, we can't stop the black budget sales going on.
Biden also called for Congress to end the broad immunity that gun makers have for being sued for shootings. I as someone who puts together a document for the document for the show, I hyperlink all of the stuff. Like if you go to the show notes at canarycrynewstalk.com, the stories are highlighted and then hyperlinked, the stories are written out in text and then hyperlinked. There's a hyperlink on this particular sentence, but whoever did it messed up, so the hyperlink ends in the middle of a word. Anyway, I just thought a little detail. Okay. It's just a little amateur. It's just a little amateur coming from CNBC.
Amateur hyperlinkers.
For us, whatever. We're just some chumps on the internet, but for CNBC to do it, it's a little unprofessional looking. The administration Also hopes to focus investment in, quote, community violence interventions, which are methods for lowering gun violence in cities without incarcerating people. The fact sheet said some metropolitan areas, such as New York City, are grappling with a surge in shooting crimes and homicides amid the coronavirus pandemic. In his speech Thursday, Biden lamented that gun violence has become, quote, an international embarrassment for the U.S. I think you're the embarrassment, Biden, but I digress. Quote, our flag was still flying at half-staff for the victims of the horrific murder of 8 primarily Asian American people in Georgia when 10 more lives were taken at a mass murder in Colorado, Biden said. He spoke after an introduction from Vice President Kamala Harris, and his speech was followed by remarks from Attorney General Merrick Garland. The president emphasized that the newly announced actions were merely initial steps and heaped pressure on federal lawmakers to pass gun reform proposals that have already been approved by the Democrat-led House. Quote, there's much more that Congress can do to help that effort, and they can do it right now, Biden said. They're offered plenty of thoughts and prayers, members to Congress, but they've passed not a single new federal law to reduce gun violence, he said. Enough prayers. Time for some action.
Come on, man.
But Biden also said he's, quote, willing to work with anyone to get this done, and expressed the desire to take additional actions, including reinstating a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Quote, we should also eliminate gun manufacturers from the immunity they receive from the Congress, Biden said. If I get one thing on my list, Lord came down and said, Joe, you get one of these. Give me that one.
What?
Invoking the Lord as a genie, apparently.
Okay.
Of things to get done in the White House. So yeah, there you go. That's I like how they wrap that up with Joe invoking God to get political things done. But there you go. Biden says gun violence in U.S. is an epidemic, unveils executive actions, and calls for national red flag law. Sort of a summary there. And we got some notes from producer Gravemind, who is I would say he's a gun rights enthusiast. Would you say that, Basil?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
as far as I know from his emails.
Yes. And there's a few things I wanted to highlight from his email, and you can comment on it, being a more knowledgeable firearms expert that you are.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I listened to Biden's speech.
I wouldn't say expert, but
well, I'm trying.
Come on, you're making me blush.
No one can tell under those googly eyes.
Okay, what do we got?
He said, I listened to Biden's speech, and here are some things I noticed. He liked to use the term epidemic of gun violence. Yeah. No. The chances of getting killed by guns in America is less than a third of getting killed in a car crash. In 2016, 37.8K by cars and 11K by guns, 65% handguns, 6% rifles, 30% other. Quote, assault weapons are not the problem. This number shrinks even further when you rule out suicides. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a lot of propaganda speak, if you will, to call it an epidemic of gun violence. And then he kind of went into some more finer points from his speech. First, he said increasing universal background checks is not supported by a majority of Americans. He talks about a poll put out by Quinnipiac University. He says the poll put out by Quinnipiac University was not referencing increased background checks. 90% of those polled voted yes if they supported background checks. However, once they were asked about stricter or increasing gun laws, the number fell to 61%. The opposed were Republicans, gun owners, and people in the house with a gun. This shows that there is not a huge public demand for increasing background checks among those who know anything about firearms.
Yeah. So, yeah. Now, he refers to this specific poll, and I have seen this poll, and I have heard the problems with this poll. It's not the only one out there, but I think that it's kind of a not very important point.
Yeah,
to argue. I'm not going to argue with him.
Sure, I just think they used it as part of the argument.
Did Biden actually mention the specific poll?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned it as part of the argument. So,
okay.
Next, he said very divisive language to call guns weapons of war or assault weapons. And, it's to elicit.
Yeah, well, weapons of
response.
war. I mean, there's very specific weapons used in war. And, not to call. I mean, he's just, again, he's kind of saying it poetically and metaphorically and worst of all, politically.
Right. That's the problem. He's sort of mixing the
weapons of war isn't even like a technical term,
no technicality.
Just, as politicians love to do, just make everything emotional, so we just respond to it.
Right.
He did have a good point, or he did mention something good in his email here, and that is Biden mentioned that gun manufacturers are the only industry that can't be sued by the use of their products. He says here, gun manufacturers aren't, quote, the only industry that can't be sued. You or your family can sue them if a defective product results in your injury or death, just like if your space heater caught on fire because of faulty manufacturing. If you kill someone with said space heater by bludgeoning, then no, the space heater industry isn't responsible. Just like if you use a gun in an illegal fashion. The industry that can't be sued is the vaccine industry when they are conducting the largest medical experiment in history. Yeah. Which was very ironic that Biden mentioned.
I know. I'm sure a whole bunch of the people, the truly awake people were triggered when Biden said that, especially with the vaccine topic and knowing that they're completely immune to any kind of legality. Next up, he mentioned getting rid of, quote, buy, build, shoot kits.
So did you watch the presser?
I did. I
did
was
he
watching
actually
it as much
mention buy, build, shoot kits?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he was talking, all the stuff that producer Gravemind points out here is stuff in response directly to what Biden stated in the press conference.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking about like, you can get guns. People can just buy the kits. They just build guns. What are we gonna do?
First, you don't need a kit. Like you can buy. I mean, you can build some sort of firearm fairly easy. I mean, it's not a firearm is not a complicated mechanism.
Right.
As far as like activating a bullet, a piece of ammunition, you can pretty much do it with a hammer and a nail if you want to get your hand blown off.
He did mention something about like, they can get it online, they can get it on the internet, and I was hoping he wouldn't, and he didn't go the direction of like, we need to censor the internet from sites that have that kind of thing, which I feel like is kind of the next step if some of this doesn't really work out for them. But yeah, I mean, it's like they can get that information on the internet. Are you serious?
Yes, the internet. You don't say.
He does say that getting rid of the buy, build, shoot kits to a degree that this has already started to be enforced. The ATF raided Polymer 80, one of the companies that started the trend, and even visited some of their customers who were buying their BBS kits. This is borderline illegal, but the ATF does it anyway. So looks like they're already on that.
Yeah, the ATF is kind of a funny organization.
Yeah.
And really, until you like really get into gun stuff, you don't like. I don't even know how to explain it. They're kind of this weird organization that like kind of has rules, but kind of, everybody's kind of left to enforce the rules themselves unless you do something really blatant. Or you're trying to like apply for a silencer or something like that. You kind of have the interaction with them. This whole thing with ghost guns that Biden has been going on about. I mean, this was hilarious. Articles were coming out days before his little speech about it, talking about how he was going to crack down on ghost guns and require background checks for ghost guns and things like that, which really only apply to these buy, build, shoot kits, which are, they're actually sold by companies you can purchase. But most ghost guns are not buy, build, shoot kits. I mean, it could come in a number of different forms, whether it's just like a firearm that somebody built out of stuff from a hardware store, or
stuff from Hody.
Hody is not a thing, Gonz, and it never will be. Or, a weapon that has had its
serial numbers
scratched off, right, which is already super illegal.
Yeah.
So, having him say we need to do background checks, that was really the biggest announcement of his whole thing. Was he was very proud they're going to require background checks on ghost guns. Which is any gun person who heard him say this, I'm pretty sure there's just a giant collective laugh out loud. They're just rolling across the country when he said that, because if it's an illegal, ghosted gun, then it's mostly criminals, or this is not a legal activity already, with the exception of these. You're actually allowed to build your own firearm. It's technically not that illegal to do.
Right. So the note here says, even on the ATF website, they make it clear that you're free to make firearms to your own personal use. Just don't violate the NFA or make them with the intention of selling them. Unless this is a push by the VP to turn the rest of America into Cali. That's a reference to California.
Sure.
Which, by the way, just as a side note for gun stuff, my father-in-law had to drive back over the border. They had been living in Arizona. They just moved back to California, and I was talking to some former cops and some people in the know how to get, because he has a whole bunch of guns that he's had for years, decades, before a lot of the gun laws got in place. And when he drove out there, he literally just threw it into the back of a truck and just a giant trash can. And I'm surprised he didn't get pulled over. But bringing it back into California, we were worried he's old. I don't want him to get into any kind of scuffle at the border there. But there wasn't really a problem. The only thing the border people care about is bringing fruit across between states, Arizona and California.
Got your ag stations.
Yeah. They don't really worry too much about the guns, I guess, or at least they didn't care. But in any case, so the ATF, let's get into that a little bit. It's known for flipping on its decisions like a pancake. They've long ruled that pistol braces are absolutely okay, even so much as companies would ship braces with a copy of the letter from the ATF. But if you use it to, quote, convert to a short-barreled rifle, a felony without the proper paperwork, which could result in a fine of $10,000 and or 10 years in jail by using it in whatever way they decide is bad that week, they would tack on an add-on charge in court. And Gravemind said, to my knowledge, they didn't go after anyone strictly for the pistol brace use. So, again, one of those things where it's not...
Yeah, well, this goes back to kind of the bump stock thing.
Yeah,
which
similar stuff
Trump did at the time. I don't know if it ever got reversed or what. I didn't pay too much attention to the bump stock thing, but these are just little... add-ons or accoutrements that you can get for...
I think of them as plugins.
Plugins, yeah.
Gun plugins. Little accessories to make it work.
Accessories. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know. A lot of this gets so... opinionated.
Opinionated, but also, how does that change anything about all the mass shooters? Even if you're a Lib Joe, left-wing, total Biden, sold out, how does something like that change anything when it comes to...
And that's the great thing about what Biden's doing here. And I'll just say it now, and so we can move on and get into some of the other details of what his thing is. I have always maintained that Biden himself, as the man, not the Democratic machine behind him, but Biden himself, as the man and the politician, he is not a radical guy at all. He personally could care less about gun control. He could care less about Black Lives Matter. He could care less about anything. He's a dyed-in-the-wool, self-interested, corporate status quo Democrat. That's who he is. He is the definition of a corporate, self-interested status quo Democrat. Now, when it serves him to, lean to the radical side or, take very hardline positions, then he takes those positions. But otherwise, he does not do anything that is going to hurt him in the long run. And that's one thing that gives me a little bit of peace about Biden in particular. Now, we can get into the Kamala thing, although I think she's just another version of what Biden is.
Like a younger, more hip version.
Yeah, but she is also a status quo corporate, self-interested Democrat. That's her thing. That's why she's so different now than she was as DA of California. She does whatever she's told as long as it benefits her. And when it comes to Biden, that's what you're going to get. And that's what we've seen, and that's why all these gun things that he's doing. Now, of course, people who are very passionate and they are charged with the mission of protecting gun rights in America, they have a reason to not pay attention to what I'm saying, because they must be hardcore in order to accomplish their mission. But all of his gun law stuff that they're not even gun law, these executive orders, these statements, these motivations he's putting out to states and other organizations, that's what they're fairly benign in that, requiring background checks for ghost guns. What are the actual numbers on ghost guns and the crimes that are committed by ghost guns? It's a fraction of the actual gun crimes that are done in the country. So his ghost gun thing is fairly weak, a fairly impotent attempt at pleasing the anti-gun advocates. And in the end, he's if they really wanted a real radical, a real actual dangerous radical Democrat, they would have put in Bernie or they would put in AOC. But generally, the Democrats don't want that. They don't want a real radical because it would change things too much, and their whole funding structure would collapse, and their corporate, lobbyist friends would lose power and lose money. They don't want that. They want a Biden who's going to do what he's told, who's not very interested in radical changes to anything. And that's why you get such an impotent attempt at gun reform as this.
AOC's not even old enough to be president, so...
Oh, that's right.
She's just kind of she's in the chamber maybe, but she's not ready to be fired.
No, you're totally right.
To make the analogy. I'm starting to think too that, and we have a couple stories of some recent shootings just surrounding the press conference, that a lot of the because all the news outlets were saying like, oh, the shooting in Atlanta and Colorado. I wonder if they did that and made a big deal about it through media so that Biden is convinced to do this press conference, because otherwise he'd be like, he wouldn't really care too much, I don't think. But people die. Yeah. It's like, oh no, we got to stop people from dying. I'm the president, No,
I mean, it's a political move to get the radicals off his back for a second. And, it is problematic. It is inch by inch, again, infringing on the Second Amendment, which shall not be infringed. So look, I'm not saying I agree with any of, with the stuff that he's doing. I'm just saying it's fairly impotent as far as gun reform can go. Right. Just to finish out his email here, to touch on a couple points, and then we'll do some deeper dives. He says here, they mentioned model red flag laws. Mm-hmm. This sounds like a wish list that the Biden admin is asking the states for. He mentioned a national red flag law, but I personally don't see that flying anytime soon. I feel like I'm noticing a trend where anything the heads of Washington want is snuck in on a state level. I agree. That includes lockdowns, masks, etc. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was tried in your more, quote, middle of the road states, since many of the blue states already have red flag laws. Yes. And again, just to speak to the impotence of his attempt at gun reform here, red flag laws, they do exist sort of all over the country already. And here's just, making, well, it says here, empowering communities to combat gun violence. Part of that is red flag laws, which are problematic. They do have, I'm just going to be reasonable. There are situations where red flag laws make sense. I think it's a dangerous precedent to set. For those who don't know, red flag laws are basically, if somebody is known to be suicidal or homicidal or violent towards their spouses or something, somebody can be like, yo, this person is out of their mind and they have a gun. And that allows, law enforcement to go get a warrant and search for it and confiscate it for quote unquote temporarily. But again, I mean, it's a dangerous precedent because, hey, if you're planning on robbing somebody and you can do a call, an anonymous call, and do a red flag call on this person, then the cops go in, take their firearms, and then booyah, baby, you're in. They don't have any weapons to defend themselves, or any number of abuses that type of law can bring up. Yeah. But again, he can't and is not currently doing this federally. He's just asking states to do that.
Yeah, they should call it the red snitch law.
It really is. It is another layer of this, brainwashing everybody to police themselves. Yeah. Which is, an easy way. That's how you make up for the defunding of police. Who needs police when you've got your neighbor snitching on you? Yeah.
And the final point here that he makes, empower communities to combat gun violence. That's a Biden quote, which parentheses from Gravemind, increasing Fed money flow to states and localities always comes with strings. This time, I guess, would be in the form of red flag laws. And he mentions David Chipman, new ATF director, was a special agent at WACO.
Yeah, this was one of the biggest parts. Yeah. And we'll just jump over real quick to this. It's
ABC News.
This ABC News, but nothing is loading for me. What's going on here?
It's AP sources, Biden to nominate former special agent, gun control advocate David Chipman as ATF director. And it says here, you know what? There's no story. It looks like literally
there's no story.
Wow, that's weird.
Well, the long story short is you have those screenshots I sent you, right?
I do.
Yeah, okay. So, David Chipman, most famously on his resume, is he was a special agent at WACO. So, if you're looking for a guy who's ready to do anything that needs to be done, even, the firing upon and burning men, women, and children alive because they are alleged to have weapons, this is the guy for you. 1993 to 1998, Office of Field Operations, ATF, Houston Field Division, Waco Satellite Office, Waco, Texas, Special Agent, Case Agent in Branch Davidian Trial. Mm-hmm. So he was not only, it's not like, he was just an agent down there. He was just there. No. He was a case agent in the Branch Davidian trial. Yeah. So, famously, we know where he stands.
Yeah, and I like the little mention from Gravemind here on David Chipman, to empower communities to combat gun violence. He says he has experience at making communities, quote unquote, safer by burning all those kids alive. So that's a poignant way to put it. But That's probably why the headline or the story by ABC News has nothing on
disappeared.
him.
This story got disappeared.
It's like, oh yeah, bad press. We don't want people Googling. If people Google, we need people to find the ABC News source, not all this stuff on what took place at Waco.
That's
so,
right.
So that was one thing, and then he sums it up here. Or he did have a couple other things about gun show loopholes and stuff, but I think we kind of get the gist of it. A lot of it's
over a lot of that stuff before.
Yeah. He said, overall, I think that this is just pandering, a lot of bark, no bite. The evidence for communities supporting gun rights is obvious, with how many states are currently becoming Second Amendment sanctuaries, or my favorite way, in the case of South Carolina, they're considering nullification by naming everyone in the state above age of 17 as a member of an unorganized militia, and a little heart emoji. Yep. I think this is
which was the original setup of militias in the United States. Right. That is, it's highly debated among constitutional scholars, but the one that you don't have to sort of manipulate enough to fit your storyline is any. I think in the Founding Fathers' Day, it was considered any man above 17 was part of the militia. But anyways, there you go.
Yeah. And just some of the shootings, just to mention, surrounding the last 2 days, or 3 days, I guess, now, right around this press conference, they really highlighted a whole bunch of stuff. And whether it's just coincidence, which I don't think they're necessarily coincidences, or, the media picking up on stuff to help the narrative. You had AP police employee kills one, wounds 5 at Texas cabinet business. And this was Bryan, Texas. A man opened fire Thursday at a Texas cabinet making company where he worked, killing one person and wounding 5 others before shooting and wounding a state trooper prior to his arrest.
A lot of wounds there. Must not be a very good shot.
Yeah. So there's that story, which came out on the same day as the press conference, which, again,
of course,
it's just more ammunition, pardon the pun, for people on social media to push the Biden thing with the gun control. And then there was, in my neck of the woods, Basil, pretty close to where I'm at, man with gunshot wound found near Laguna Hills Park. This is a OC Register.
In California?
Oh, yeah. This is second.
Wait, didn't this guy know that it's illegal in California? Wait.
Orange County Sheriff's deputies detained 3 underage suspects on Thursday, April 8th, after finding a man with a gunshot wound near a park in Laguna Hills. It was shortly after 12:20 p.m. when deputies were called to Dinosaur Park near Paseo de Valencia and Alicia Parkway about a shooting victim. And, so I guess
it's on the same day.
Yeah, same day. Very convenient.
Very interesting.
And then the big one was, it was actually the day before, which does also help with the spinning of the narrative. And this is thestate.com. Sheriff gives new details in South Carolina mass shooting that killed 5. Quote, "We don't know why." Whenever they say we don't know why,
we don't know why he shot him.
Yeah. And this is a little bit more high profile. And this is why I think this is the one that was a little bit more of a, it's a bigger candidate for some kind of MK Ultra activated type of thing here. Or just, it's just too convenient. A former NFL player fired as many as 20 shots Wednesday when he killed 5 people and wounded a 6th after forcing his way into the home of a prominent Rock Hill doctor, the York County Sheriff said Thursday. After a lengthy manhunt, Philip Adams, a Rock Hill native, killed himself inside his family's home while down the street from the site of the shooting, York County Sheriff Kevin Tolson said. Tolson provided new details Thursday afternoon about the mass shooting that sent shockwaves through the community and drew national attention. And according to the story,
drew national attention being the key point there.
Right. And the shooting involved inside the house of Marshall Road. Adams then he shot Dr. Robert Lasley, and then he went after Lasley's wife, and then a couple of grandchildren, which were age 9 and age 5. So That's
Right.
I know some people.
You're bringing up all of these to say that it's part of a narrative building leading up to the Biden.
Leading up to and as part of the day of, a lot of stories of shootings just pop up in various local stories, even my local area, which is actually the second shooting in, I think, Orange County within a couple weeks. So, there's always gun stuff here. We just don't always hear about it. But the fact that the media would highlight it would suggest that there's an agenda behind it. So, because some people always say, like, especially those who are really, really fringy, they're always like, it's all fake. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be fake. People can die.
It's not about it being fake. That's kind of the misconception with false flag stuff, too.
Right. It's the agenda or the use of these events for the narrative that we're paying attention to.
Right.
And, because if you think about it, the elite don't care if some kids die, especially if it serves their purpose. So, they're sick in that way. But that's it. That's all the stories we had for the Biden Gun Control Act. Seems like a big nothing burger.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, again, hardcore, gun rights activists, probably rightly, don't want any inching towards their Second Amendment rights being infringed upon. And there's there's nobility in that and sticking as close to the Constitution as possible. But yes, as far as some sort of gun control that's going to affect people on a sort of regular basis, this is pretty, like you said, a nothing burger.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to say, Gonz, it is episode 322, and we did not start off with a nice, fun little 322 talk for those who might not be so aware of it. And I did pull something up I think I'd like to read, but I think I'll do it after the politics section.
Okay.
How does that sound?
That sounds good. Sure.
Okay. Let's do that.
All right. Well, we mentioned the George Floyd, I guess the whole court hearing or the court case happening now, trial happening, and one of the things to come out in the last couple of days, and we said we would mention it, if there's actual news to be had. This is PolitiFact.com. Quote, toxicology report was made public by the Minnesota prosecution revealing the cause of George Floyd's death was a fentanyl overdose. It's like a fact check of that. Because it was for a while, people were saying, like, yeah, he didn't die from the asphyxiation by Derek Chauvin. But the results, according to PolitiFact, no, autopsy doesn't say George Floyd died of overdose. And in the courtroom, I think there were two conflicting reports, but they were both basically saying that, I think one was by asphyxiation, the other one was from some kind of chest thing. But and they both mentioned how the that he was high on fentanyl and all kinds of stuff, but that Chauvin's knee to the neck was part of the reason why he actually passed away, according to the coroners. So I don't want to take too much time with it because it's sort of, I don't know, the trial's still ongoing, but this was one of those points that I know a lot of people who are trying to defend Chauvin came out and stated that, hey, that the coroner said that it was because of the overdose. And,
if he was really overdosing on fentanyl, he would not be up and walking around. And
right.
Like an overdose on fentanyl is a very extreme drug overdose. All drug overdoses are extreme.
Right.
But a fentanyl overdose, he would not be up walking around, going to a store, purchasing something.
Right. Plus and that's the thing, the knee to the neck thing may have contributed to his death just as much as, because if you're super high on fentanyl, and then George Floyd has the history of swallowing all the drugs when he gets pulled over, it's not going to be a good combination. So we'll kind of keep track of
course
how this is
But
going.
yeah, with the whole Chauvin trial thing right now, it's every article it's the weird thing about it, it's just sort of reiterating everything we've already heard.
Yeah,
there's been nothing new. It's like it's a re-traumatization of the American people through the media here. You're just having to hear I've read at least a half a dozen articles since Monday, day by day of the trial, people reporting what happened next, and not a single piece of new information that I've seen. It's literally just a re-traumatization.
Yep. Yeah.
Not
keep the
dramatization, traumatization.
And this is 21stCenturyWire.com. The headline, BLM activist, quote, "Buildings will burn if Chauvin isn't convicted of murder." I think that's kind of the takeaway here.
Yeah,
people are just waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's too aggressive of a statement. I think everybody expects that to be the case.
Yeah.
Okay, let us. Should we check in on the Alex Jones thing?
Oh.
Let's see what AJ's been up to.
AJ, what is AJ up to? Hold on, I have a AJ ISO. I know somebody sent us the frogs clip, but we got to come up with a better AJ jingle. I have this one here.
We were made by the aliens.
Just real straightforward.
Is that him with Joe Rogan?
No, that's him with Flagrant 2.
Oh, okay. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Andrew
Schultz.
This video may have been going around. I'm sure a lot of people saw it, and you got a little clip we're going to play here. But just to set it up, if you don't mind.
Yep.
This is coming from the GatewayPundit.com. Watch. Alex Jones physically stops vehicle after witnessing migrant children being stuffed in the luggage compartment. Okay. Luggage compartment is a bit of a creative
Cassandra
way.
Fairbanks, the author of this article, notoriously right-wing, very outspoken right-wing, not an activist per se, but borderline.
I mean, she's whatever. But yes, luggage compartment. This is not quite okay.
And Alex Jones physically stops vehicle. He's the
Look
Hulk.
at the picture. Can you see the headline? The picture at the top. Yeah, you'll see when you actually watch the video. He stood in front of a car. He didn't physically stop the vehicle. He stood in front of the car. But the frame that they took from the video is him like Hulk style pushing the car, pushing against the car, and like I'm surprised they didn't add some like smoke down by the wheels as if the guy is like gunning it. Anyways. Yeah. Alex Jones has once again done what few others would be brave enough to do. While documenting border crisis, Jones and his crew witnessed a man shoving several young children into the luggage compartment. Okay, it's the back of an SUV, but okay, in the back of his vehicle. According to InfoWars, look, I'm not trying to defend the people putting the children in the back of the car. We're going to talk about it, but it's just funny to hear the sort of Alex Jones propaganda machine make him sound like a superhero. According to InfoWars, children were being taken, quote, from the dirt floor child camp under the International Bridge in McAllen to a processing camp in Donna, Texas. The migrants were then moved to a COVID processing center in downtown McAllen after being brought to Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. The charity, according to the InfoWars report, again, this is all according to the InfoWars report, provides the illegal immigrants with airplane or bus tickets to any city they choose in the U.S. and a debit card with $1,200 per person. Whoa. That is quite a deal. They are then transported by staff to the airport or bus station. On their website, they claim to have assisted over 23,000 individuals who have illegally traveled into the country. Quote, when the crew was walking to the Christian Charity Center near the bus station, they witnessed 5 children and an adult exiting the center and being loaded in a hatchback car. I don't think a hatchback is the correct way to put it, but okay. It was a horizontally opening back door, but okay. 3 of these children were loaded into the luggage compartment, back of an SUV, where no seatbelts were present. That's true. This video picks up where the crew sprung into action. Jones immediately stood in front of the vehicle to prevent it from moving while members of his crew attempted to get police to the scene. And should we just do the video?
Yeah, this is somewhat of an edited down version, just so I took out all the profanity and whatnot. But here is the whole scene.
You got a car seat for him? You got a car seat? That's illegal, bro. Where are you taking these kids? That's illegal.
If you get in a traffic accident, those kids are going to get hurt.
These kids? You have a car seat.
That's illegal.
How is this Christian?
Hey, we need the police over here. They got a bunch of kids without their car seats. You're violating Texas law.
Who is this right here?
Hey,
you got no comment. See,
you got those children in there illegally.
You're about to run a human being over. Hey,
you got those children in there.
Who are you?
You got those smuggled children illegally.
Who are you? Where are you taking these children?
You're smuggling children.
Are you part of?
You got them illegally in that vehicle.
Where are you taking these kids?
And now,
sir, where are you taking these kids?
They don't even have car seats.
Sir,
their seatbelts on.
Their seatbelts aren't even on. Where are you taking these children?
You are violating state law. You have children.
They're not going there. You're not making any sense, sir. Identify yourself. Who are you?
Kids out of that back, man. If somebody rear ends you, those kids are going to get hurt.
Who are these kids?
I don't know, sir.
Lie them down right there. Get the cops. Where did you get them from?
From the church.
From the church. Where's the church?
From one church. Yeah, they're plowed in the back.
Now the police shows up.
What's your name, sir? Do you have your ID on you? Or your driver's license? Your human smuggling's gonna stop, freak.
So you're cool with human smuggling?
If I drove around with 3 of my kids in the back of the car, I'd get arrested.
You're scaring them yourself. You're scaring the children.
This is somebody from the church yelling at Alex.
Really?
What kind of Catholic organization is this? Jesus stuffs people in the back of a car? You should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you.
Vitamin Mineral Fusion is a remarkable product.
Straight into the ad.
Oh, he couldn't get away without trying to sell some supplements. Oh, AJ.
Vitamin Fusion, help me stop the car.
Yeah, you see that? You see me physically stop that car and rescue those children?
Okay, so I think
value for value model, folks.
Yeah,
we're not going to sell you supplements here.
Yeah, I think the point here is Alex and the whole InfoWars crew is correct in stopping this guy for unless it's staged. Of course, that's the bigger question.
Well,
if it was
I do
staged.
want to kind of walk through a little bit and look at the staged versus not staged situation.
Yeah. Okay, because it's totally illegal to just stuff a bunch of kids in the back of a car.
Yes.
No seatbelts, no car seats or anything like that. And, so at the basic level, for them to stop it and because they were doing it right in front of him, is legit in terms of like, okay, yeah, that's illegal. You really shouldn't do that. And at the end of the video, after the cop, stops and talks to the guy, they take the kids out and whatever. But you do have to question. You got the whole camera crew that you got like 3 or 4 camera angles. You have Alex coming in hot. All these guys really making a scene. Maybe it was a little overblown. You know what I mean? Like, how do they know for sure it's human trafficking?
Right. Well, so plenty of Catholic organizations, plenty of organizations do this. Catholic Charities does do this. And yes, it's mostly paid through government grants to help. NGOs are sort of, put into action to do a lot of the management of migrants.
Right.
And they're paid for by the government. And Catholic Charities is one of these organizations that does that. And Catholic Charities makes a lot of money doing this. And a lot of other organizations also make a lot of money doing this. So this is not unheard of that an NGO would be, part of the process of immigrants coming into the country, whether they're illegal immigrants getting, moved around to different migrant facilities. Just for those who are just listening and don't see the video, The driver of the car is wearing it looks very official. He's got like a blue long sleeve shirt that says staff on the back.
Right.
He's marked, he doesn't look like just some random sketchy guy. He's in some sort of uniform. The car they're driving is, has Catholic Charities logos all over it. It's an official looking thing. It isn't just a van that they got. Oh, and the car's got like a light system, like not quite like sirens, but it's like a security van for Catholic Charities or some similar organization.
It's got some massive dents on the side of the car too, though. Looks like it's
it does look like, and that's part of what I want to talk about. So first of all, if we're trying to walk through, is it faked or not? A lot of people think that it's like completely staged, and that's always a possibility.
Yeah.
But the things that make me think it's not necessarily staged is that it's a legit car. I mean, the guy is uniformed. If AJ was trying to make it look like as bad as possible,
it would probably look way worse.
Yeah, you'd get like, he wouldn't have a logoed Catholic charity van with expensive lights on the top and a guy in a uniform. He'd make it look way sketchier. That would be much more heroic of him.
Right.
Now, a couple of other weird things is the mother was with the children. Like, it's not just a bunch of kids. It's a mother and like 5 kids. Yeah. And in the longer version of the video, you hear them talk about this. The cops show up and the guy in the uniform is like, yeah, that's their mom right there. We're just moving them. Now, the kids being put into the back of the SUV, definitely illegal, definitely shouldn't happen, especially, on being done by an NGO or a big enough organization like Catholic Charities. That's kind of weird. So that did kind of make me think, like, why would he do that?
Yeah, that is weird.
Especially since in the back seat where the mother is sitting, there's one child on the mother's lap, and then there's like half of the back seat. You could easily squeeze those little butts in there and have everybody at least have a seat belt, if not a car seat. So that was kind of weird. Like, putting him into the back did make me think, like, there's no reason for him to do this. Why did he do this? It looks so suspicious, and maybe he's just not necessarily the most litigious staff member at the Catholic Charities. Let's see. But then, just to counter that point, like you said, the rear passenger door does look like it got hit or smashed in, so maybe that door doesn't open. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Again, not a good enough reason to put kids in the back of the car.
Get in from the other side, especially since the other side faces the sidewalk, so it would make more sense.
Exactly. It wouldn't be weird to do that anyways. But yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. There you go. Give me a second to think of other points, but what do you think about that so far?
Yeah, I get the feeling that this was Alex Jones not letting a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah,
he's got his camera crew there. Right. It looks like a guy putting a bunch of kids in the back of a car. It doesn't look good for sure. So he would definitely take that opportunity. He's got his camera crew there. So, he got a couple guys point fingers at him, start yelling at him. It's a good way to cause a scene. So again, I would trying to take the most objective approach to this. That he did, I guess, do the right thing in terms of, hey, this is pretty illegal to just have a bunch of kids in the back of a car. Mm-hmm. But does this prove human trafficking, smuggling, all that stuff? Not necessarily.
It's human trafficking in that humans and children were being transported from one place to another. That being said, just having Alex Jones's voice screaming, "You're smuggling children," in the video, it just stunk of like, okay, we got to get the soundbite. Get the soundbite of some guy yelling in a Hispanic accent, and then have Jones screaming, smuggling children, and we'll sell a bunch of supplements after this.
Yeah, that's some people in the chat bringing up some interesting points as well. The kids don't look freaked out at all. Maybe the kids have gone through the whole rehearsal. But other people pointing out the big Hollywood sign in the background, the Hollywood fashion store. It doesn't help Jones's case when it's all Hollywood in the background.
That is interesting. Yeah. What is that? Is that just a store?
It's a store. Yeah. It looks like just a fashion store or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you can read too much into something like that. But again, we're not going to know for sure. But at the very least, he got a lot of attention for this. And
Cody in YouTube does make a point. If they did cross the border, they've probably been through so much more than just a yelling.
Couple guys yelling at him are
this
like,
would mean nothing.
Here we go again.
Probably spent weeks duct taped up into the wheel well of a truck to cross. Whatever they do. Like I'm not trying to. I'm just saying it's hard work getting across the border, especially with 5 kids.
Yeah, and the other part of it, too, they don't blur out license plates. I mean, there's something about this that's, I would say, a little bit more...
Yeah, they don't blur out kids' faces or anything either.
Nothing, yeah. So it's a little weird. It is a little weird. You'd think... Well, they're not documented, so you're not really doxing anybody, but...
Oh, Gonzo. Yeah, weird.
It is weird. The whole thing is weird.
I don't know. I think it doesn't quite matter, though.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think this was like, child trafficking in the sense, in the now colloquial sense.
What's going to happen now is it's going to give fuel to mainstream media to say that, Jones says Hillary Clinton ordered children to be put in the back of a van.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like it'll be an easy way to spin the other way. So, I don't know. But overall, very strange event that went viral. A lot of people talking about it.
Great screenshots of him hulking out, physically stopping a car.
And I like the video. Just can't end it without a little advertisement.
It is kind of funky. Some people are kind of taking a look at the police officer, the sort of main police officer that shows up. Mm-hmm. Completely...
Face covered,
like gator, not just in a mask style, but completely. It's like he's wearing a balaclava. There'd be no way to identify this.
Although I did see him get out of a cop car, like in the full footage. He gets out of a cop car.
In the footage, you do see cop cars and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Well, don't put kids in the back of an SUV, folks.
In front of Alex Jones,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not a good call. Although most school buses don't have seatbelts. I think that law just changed in some of the states, but
what?
Most school buses in general don't have seatbelts.
Oh yeah, never. So, they're the most dangerous child maracas in the world. Take a sharp turn with that. You've got kids flying all over the place.
Yeah. In Ireland, there's a lot of political unrest.
This has been very interesting.
Yeah. This is a tweet by Vincent Kearney. The moment loyalist youths in the Shankill Road area of Belfast Patrol bombed and hijacked Belfast.
It's Belfast. It's okay.
Yeah, Belfast. That's what I said.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
I know about Belfast because of the concerts they had there, the metal concerts they had over the years.
They do have good metal concerts.
Patrol bombed and hijacked a bus this evening. Driver had a very fortunate escape. A press photographer was also assaulted, plus had cameras damaged. And this is just a 9-second clip that shows a little situation here. There goes the people throwing those Molotov cocktails.
Petrol bombs.
Petrol bombs, right into the front area of the bus. Bus on fire. And then later there's like a big flame that sparks up. But a lot of civil unrest all over
sectarian violence boiling over. As far as I know, it's the worst, or they're talking about it as if it's the worst since the Good Friday agreements.
Yeah.
Do you have like a whole breakdown of this?
No, not really. That's I just wanted to mention it.
I did spend some time looking into it because for those who have been listening for a while, know that I'm really fascinated with
I'm
Ireland.
really fascinating, folks.
I'm really fascinating. Freudian slip. With Ireland and it's the Troubles and the Good Friday agreements and the sectarianism and the Catholics versus Protestants and the whole shebang over there. It's a really been an unprecedented history as far as Western nations go. And so I spent some time, and it's really not easy to understand, but to boil it down as much as I can now, and we might get into it a little deeper later. This is happening in Belfast, which still has walls splitting the city, the sectarian parts of the city, and this violence broke out over at the walls. So this was very specifically related to, the divisions that still sort of linger from the Troubles. And it all has to do with, I don't have the term right in front of me. Shoot. It's called the Irish Sea border. And it has to do with Brexit. So as they're figuring out Brexit, they're having to figure out, the borders between Ireland and Northern Ireland, because of course Northern Ireland is part of the UK. Ireland is not. Having a hard border between Ireland and Northern Ireland is a problematic sort of throwback to the Troubles. And specifically, this was all about a sea border, just having to do with like trade and stuff. But it really ignited these sectarian. They would call them gangs over there. It's sort of they consider themselves to be sort of militias or oh, shoot. Now, I don't want to say anything wrong because they do take it very seriously over there. But the government considers them gangs. But they're very serious about their Irish freedoms or their connection with the UK. And the big story with this was that there were children who were like 12, 13, 14 that were being mobilized in the violence. So you'd have like a big group of people throwing Molotov cocktails and fighting and breaking stuff. But then there'd be like a 12-year-old or like a 14-year-old, which again kind of harkens back to the weird guerrilla warfare style stuff that happened back in the Troubles, where they would sort of activate their children to also fight this. And then if the children, got hurt or died or something bad happened to them as a result, then it would be used as propaganda. Right. To inspire more violence. So yeah, it's very serious. It's not just like your fun, role playing Antifa riot or something. This is like a very deep, serious sectarian war that kind of got sparked up again. So I'm going to keep paying attention to it. And when I have a better understanding, I might talk about it in a future episode.
So it's not just LARPing going on over there?
Yeah, no, this is not like your American role play white kids wanting to just be bored or not be bored and get out of the house during lockdown and break some stuff. Yeah. This is a very deeply felt uprising, opening up new wounds.
My wife's basically named Ireland.
Erin?
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, one more story. That's just my contribution to so you had a story here, one last one from politics about...
Oh, yeah, and this is really quick.
Yeah.
And again, there's a little update from our favorite CNN celebrity, Chris Shilzilla.
Oh, Shilzilla, you're on that beat, man.
My algorithms basically feed me all Chris Shilzilla.
The algos are like, dude, this guy really...
this guy loves Shilzilla. And this is just regarding the filibuster. We were talking about the filibuster a couple episodes ago.
Yep.
And I made my point that things like the filibuster and the Electoral College, which liberals really want to get rid of now that they're in power, are political technologies that actually give some power back to the minority party, which is a beautiful part of American politics, and also creates like the perfect amount of government like bureaucratic stop up that keeps one party from sort of taking over the world. This is MSN.com mirroring CNN. Joe Manchin just crushed liberals' dream for Joe Biden's first term.
Ooh,
crushed liberals' dream.
That reads like a right wing, the Gateway Pundit headline.
Totally. It's like, what's her face? Catherine something or other. And I'll just read a part of it, and then we'll move on. I
think you meant Cassandra Fairbanks, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yes. With just 15 words, Joe Manchin ended the possibility that Joe Biden's first term would live up to the hopes that liberals had for it on everything from gun control to voting rights to even possibly the size and scope of the president's $2 trillion infrastructure bill. Quote, there is no circumstance in which I will vote to eliminate or weaken the filibuster, wrote the West Virginia Democratic senator in a Washington Post op-ed published Wednesday night, which is pretty dang airtight when it comes to pledges, and which means, assuming Manchin sticks to it, that Democrats do not have the 50 votes they would need to change the Senate rules to eliminate the legislative filibuster, which in turn means that the idea of passing meaningful gun control legislation or moving forward on the election reform bill passed by the House are simply not possible. But it's more than that, too. While the big headline of Manchin op-ed is his opposition to ending the filibuster, he also makes clear that he disapproves of using, quote, reconciliation, a budget tool that allows bills to be passed with a simple majority for things not directly tied to the budget, which very much includes Biden's infrastructure bill. Quote, we should all be alarmed at how the budget reconciliation process is being used by both parties to stifle debate around the major issues facing our country today, wrote Manchin, adding, quote, I simply do not believe budget reconciliation should replace regular order in the Senate. How is that good for the future of this nation? Senate Democrats must avoid the temptation to abandon our Republican colleagues on important national issues. Republicans, however, have a responsibility to stop saying no and participate in finding real compromise with Democrats, which is a very big deal, especially when you consider that Senate Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, have offered very little reason to believe they will come to the negotiating table with Biden. And it goes on and on, gets into some other stuff. But this Joe Manchin guy is a Democrat and has basically refused to go along with the Democrat Party line of getting rid of the filibuster, which preserves, like I said, a beautiful inefficiency of the U.S. government. So all that filibuster talk is so far down the drain. I would say, being a conspiracy analyst, I would steer clear of small aircraft and hot tubs. If I was Joe Manchin, but he's kind of closed the gap on this idea that Biden's just going to be able to get through whatever he wants, including printing $2 trillion to build bridges and stuff.
It wasn't. So this infrastructure bill. Is that a different one from the? We already passed the 1.9. He was talking about a $3 trillion thing.
So that was a COVID. The 1.9 was the COVID. Mm-hmm.
But I thought
infrastructure.
I thought he was talking about a $3 trillion thing. Maybe that's the infrastructure one was brought down to 2, just to make it more plausible. I don't know.
I only really recall a $2 trillion infrastructure. Maybe he said $3 trillion at some point.
I mean, just.
But yeah, this was basically Biden trying to be like the rebuilder of America. We're going to make really cool trains and redo all the roads and everything and the green energy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it must have gotten reduced, because I have an article here from CNBC back in March 22nd, 322. White House considers splitting $3 trillion recovery plan into two bills. So there's two $1.5 or ish million or $1 trillion bills.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this infrastructure bill was kind of his big Build Back Better thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He's gonna call Joe, and Joe's gonna call Joe, and he's gonna say he's gonna be upset.
Keep yapping, man.
Keep yapping, man. Yeah, so there you go. So that whole thing is stalled thanks to this Joe Manchin guy. Biden doesn't seem like he's just going to get his, his red carpet as easy as he thought he would.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, let's take a second. You got some 666 updates.
I do.
And
you wanted to do the 322.
That, yes, let me do the 322. We'll kind of line up all this sort of numerology, occult nonsense all at once. So, for those who don't know, you're listening to episode 322 of Canary Cry News Talk, not because we're particularly fans of anything. It's just how numbers work. We got to 322 episodes. And for those who are wondering why we're making such a big deal about that, I'll just read through this little thing. And we'll go on with the show. And I want to thank everybody who has come in to produce episode 322. It has been awesome. And, we're kind of trying to use 322, taking back the number, using their own numbers against them. And so if you want to participate in that, you can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support. But
I was not ready for that.
canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. Now, Gonz, I'm going to take this little thing from a website called GnosticWarrior.com.
Yep. Well-known info for Gnostics. Yep.
That's right. So I thought it'd be fun to get it straight from these guys.
Okay.
Starts out, The Secrets of Skull and Bones, 322. Quote, deception is a state of mind, and the mind of the state. From James Jesus Angleton, mother of the CIA. One of the most infamous and powerful of all secret societies. You know what? Let me send you this link so you can kind of...
It's already up. Already up, bro.
Okay.
I'm on it.
Oh, you're on it. He's so good. One of the most infamous and powerful of all secret societies globally is called the American Order of Skull and Bones. That was founded in 1832 at Yale University. The order is also known as Bones, and members are called Bonesmen, who are some of the world's most powerful elites, such as former President George H.W. Bush, his son George W. Bush, and former U.S. Secret of State, I think they meant Secretary of State, John Kerry, to name a few. The secrecy behind the order was confirmed by George W. Bush, who wrote in his autobiography, quote, in my senior year, I joined Skull and Bones, a secret society, so secret I can't say anything more. Ooh, George W. Two Bonesmen, George W. Bush and John Kerry, had both been presidential candidates in the 2004 elections, which this type of stuff happens more often than you'd think. But yeah, you have two basically fraternity brothers running against each other. It's like,
I guess the difference was I think in like an interview, they were both asked about that. They were both asked about the Skull and Bones, but go on.
Right.
They document it here. So
when Kerry was asked what it meant that he and Bush were both Bonesmen, former presidential candidate John Kerry said, quote, not much, because it's a secret. Ooh. George Bush eventually won his second term and continued his war campaign in Iraq. The order was incorporated in 1856 by General William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft, who became Secretary of War under President Grant in 1876. The numerical value is of 1876 is 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 equals 22. And the numerical motto for Skull and Bones is 322. or 3 times 22, which you will see below is not a coincidence. In numerology, the number 22 is often called the master builder. The Phoenician Hebrews possessed 22 books, and their alphabet is made up of 22 letters, which was created to compose the Word of God. The Kabbalah teaches us that the letters of the Hebrew alphabet are the building blocks of the universe. The underlying occult scientific significance of the number 22 in science would represent the bones of the skull, of which there are 22. 8 form the cranium or brain case, and 14 are associated with the face. Our brains are what we use to think, reason, and come to know the divine or God. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet created to compose the Word of God are our 22 boned skulls. What am I saying? Yes, boned skulls, and the place where we receive the light to become illuminated or enlightened beings, hence to be like St. John and have our own revelation. This is why I believe Skull and Bones had chosen the number 22 as the master builders of a new world order. This fact would be validated by Bonesman, former CIA Director and President George H.W. Bush, who in the video below, taken from national television, makes no bones about their apocalyptic plans for a new world order. Please keep in mind that this speech of biblical proportions was done on 9/11, 1991. Now, I would like to theorize about the number 66 and the connections to the Skull and Bones numerical motto of 322. And then it kind of goes into a bunch of 66 stuff. It's from the Gnostic Warrior, so you get the Gnostic version. Let's see here. Where do they combine? Oh, gosh, I've lost my spot. Oh, no. Actually, I'm going to go through this. Okay. In the Bible, the number.
All right.
It's some people don't know this, Gonz.
Okay, I get it.
Some people need to get a refresher as well.
All right.
Now, keep in mind, we're reading this from Gnostic Warrior. In the Bible, the number 66 is the numerical value of the wheel from the Hebrew gagal, which is very similar to the word Google, meaning a wheel, whirl, whirlwind, or simply chaos. The meaning of gal, gull, or gull is to trick or to cheat. The word curse is used 66 times in the Old Testament. Quote, "As for the wheels, it was cried unto them in my hearing, O wheel." That's Ezekiel 10:13. This chaos of tricks may indicate the CIA domestic counterterrorism plan founded under Skull and Bones member James Jesus Angleton, who was called the mother of the Central Intelligence Agency. Angleton was directly responsible for a domestic espionage project called Operation Chaos and had coined the phrase, quote, "Deception is a state of mind and the mind of the state." This role of the CIA as chaos creators and secret scroll makers may be indicative of the Skull and Bones numerical motto of 322, or 3 times 22 equals 66. That we may be able to witness in Isaiah 66:16, "For with fire and with his sword the Lord will execute judgment on all people, and many will be those slain by the Lord. This judgment is given to the tribe of Judah, who holds the key, as revealed in Isaiah 22:22. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder, so he shall open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open." And then it goes into some more stuff. But there you go. That's a little background on the Skull and Bones, why 322 is a thing. And we're not celebrating that on our 322, but it was notable and could not be ignored.
Let me just mention a couple things from Wikipedia, because it mentioned something a little bit different, which I thought was interesting as well.
Okay.
From Wikipedia, it says the number 322 appears in Skull and Bones' insignia and is widely reported to be significant as the year of Greek orator Demosthenes' death. A letter between early society members and Yale archives suggests that 322 is a reference to the year 322 BCE, and that members measure dates from this year instead of from the Common Era. In 322 BC, the Lamian War ended with the death of Demosthenes, and Athenians were made to dissolve their government and establish a plutocratic system in its stead, whereby only those possessing 2,000 drachmas or more could remain citizens. Documents in the tomb have purportedly been found, dated to Anno Demostheni. Members measure time of day according to a clock 5 minutes out of sync from normal life. The latter is called barbarian time. One legend is that the numbers in the society's emblem 322 represent, quote, founded in 32, second corps, referred to first corps in an unknown German university. So, okay. But yeah, there's just a little addition there about the year 322 and how time starts then. Instead of, because obviously, the calendar we're on is supposed to be from the time of Christ, BC and AD. So, of course, they would be against that. They're like, oh, what is this nonsense with Jesus Christ? We are the Christ. Anyway, yeah, it is a good little refresher, I guess, for people who are not familiar with it. And if you go watch Age of Deceit, Fallen Angels, and the New World Order, I documented an old, I think it was ABC, it might have been CBS, but I think it was ABC, a report that was done where somebody snuck into a Skull and Bones initiation ceremony, and you can hear an initiate getting like slapped by something, and the person initiating is saying, kiss the skull, kiss the skull.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not a good organization to be a part of, I would imagine.
And 322 is always a date that we pay attention to every year, and notably this year on 322 was the King Soopers shooting.
Yeah, that's right.
King Soopers Store 33.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Yeah. Good little refresher. I wanted to thank all the people that have been sending in the 33 updates. Just, keeping me aware of what's out there. Although, I'm noticing a pattern with the 33s. I think I'm going to up the bar a little bit and try to, because there's a lot of, obviously we've reported on 33 deaths from the COVID and the 33 people infected story. It's still going. So there was one about 1 in 333 people are affected by the vaccine or something. So, keep them coming for those of you out there sending it. And I'll definitely include the ones that I feel are worthy of mention. But for today, I think we're going to do a few 666 updates because a whole bunch of them came in all at the same time. It's very, very strange how that happened here. 666. This first one is from NRAILA.org. That's the NRA Institute for Legislative Action. And the headline is Maine, multiple hunting measures to be worked on in committee. And I won't read through the whole thing here, but there's a legislative document 666. Allows a person who holds a junior hunting license, has completed a relevant hunter safety course, and is at least 14 years of age to hunt without being accompanied by a junior hunter advisor. Considering the number of hunters in the U.S. is on the decline and has significantly declined in the past couple of decades, we must do everything we possibly can to reverse this trend. This legislative document.
More hunters. Let the hunt begin.
Yeah, young hunters. Legislative document 666. I don't know. If I was the NRA, I'd just skip that number,
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Yeah, it's just weird to keep that included in the I guess the sequence. it is a number.
Right.
Next up, this is from GameSpace.com. REFICUL 666 PC review. When darkness obscures the fun. Are you going to play REFICUL or REFICUL?
I've never even heard of it.
Not a very good article here, but I'll read a couple lines from it. I made a terrible mistake. I'll admit it, though. I'm a coward. Horror games were never really my jam. But I thought I'd branch out a bit and try something new and different. Enter REFICUL or REFICUL 666, a new indie horror game that follows some dude that wakes up in the midst of a darkened apocalyptic nightmare. REFICUL 666 appears to be a non-VR port of a VR game with a similar name. And there's something interesting about this. There's a screenshot from the game, and you're kind of like going through like dark places or whatever. And there's like there's just a screenshot from the game where you're in this room, and on the bottom right, you see a Holy Bible being held. So I'm wondering if...
spooky.
Yeah, I'm wondering if a Bible is like a weapon in the game or something. Like casting prayers upon the demons that appear. So, yeah, just thought I'd let you know, Basil. I know you're into the game thing. There's some creepy demons in the game and stuff.
Into the game thing. Not into horror games, man. I couldn't even play Death Stranding.
Yeah, and then another screenshot here where it's first person. He's walking into like a tunnel staircase, and in his left hand is a Holy Bible, and his right hand is a gun.
Hey, there we go.
There you go. See? That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So, just thought I'd bring that up. And one more 666 update, and this one's from culture.com, without an E, spelled C-U-L-T-R, because so hip. Panteros 666 debuts on Confessions with double single EP. Have you heard of Panteros 666?
Nope.
Well, you're not as cool then, I guess.
I guess not.
Kicking off Confessions' new look and style, Victor Wattel, a.k.a. Panteros 666,
Haven't we done a story with Panteros 666 before?
Maybe, I don't know, but this is a new album.
Okay.
Drops in for his first appearance on the label via his Time to Come With Us EP.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And let's see, what was the name? Oh, there's some tracks on here. Let's see. Panteros 666's obsession with technologies and music comes together once again on this rave-inspired EP, ramping up thanks to tracks Time to Come With Us and Eugenics with an X at the end as a welcome addition to the Confession family. So there you go. You got a UFO in there. This guy's really, he's onto it, man. He knows what's going on.
It's on something.
All right. Let's get into some beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Okie dokie, let's head over to brown.edu. The headline is Researchers Demonstrate First Human Use of High Bandwidth Wireless Brain-Computer Interface. Ooh. Dun, dun, dun. In an important step toward a fully implantable intracortical brain-computer interface system, BrainGate, researchers demonstrated the first human use of a wireless transmitter capable of delivering high-bandwidth neural signals. These research articles are a little hard to parse because there's so many like little.
They use big words. Big wordlies.
They put so much stuff before the actual article. All right. Brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, are an emerging assistive technology for now, enabling people with paralysis to type on computer screens or manipulate robotic prostheses just by thinking about moving their own bodies. For years, investigational BCIs used in clinical trials have required cables to connect to sensing array in the brain connect the sensing array in the brain to computers that decode the signals and use them to drive external devices. Now, for the first time, BrainGate clinical trial participants with tetraplegia have demonstrated use of an intracortical wireless BCI with an external wireless transmitter. The system is capable of transmitting brain signals at single neuron resolution and in full broadband fidelity without physically tethering the user to a decoding system. The traditional cables are replaced by a small transmitter about 2 inches in its largest dimension and weighing a little over 1.5 ounces. The unit sits on top of the user's head and connects to an electrode array within the brain's motor cortex using the same port used by wired systems. I don't think we need to go too deep into this, but it is a big step in the BCI industry that it's wireless now. You know, we've seen these BCIs be experimented with for quite a long time. This is not quite the same as Neuralink. It's more of I would say it's a little bit more robust than Neuralink, at least what was shown to us in Elon's.
Oh, you haven't seen nothing yet. We got some breakthroughs from Elon today, right after this.
We'll get there. I was just trying to give these guys a little credit before Elon came in and stomped on it. But you know, it's so funny because you think of the science fiction of the past, where, you know, the cyberpunk sort of era where you got cyborgism kind of becoming a reality, and you know, and kind of it's considered kind of cheesy to have a human but like have an antenna sticking out of their head, but now it's for real. They really guessed what it would be, and that's exactly what it is. It's basically an antenna just sticking out of the top of someone's head.
Yeah, I was on Twitter, there was somebody, I'm totally forgetting his name. Let me just pull it up real quick so I don't or say the wrong name. Basically, he's a Christian apologist, pretty well known. Sean McDowell. His father was a pretty well known apologist as well. And he cited, it was a different article that mentioned basically the story. And he said, "This is absolutely amazing." And, you know, I get it because it's helping people or whatever, but the bottom line is
such a caring individual. It's helping people or whatever.
Or whatever. I mean, yes, it's if we've been tracking this for a long time, Basil. I mean, literally from the beginning of doing all this stuff, you know, the Face Like the Sun channel for me and Canary Cry Radio and everything, we've been tracking it, and we've known that the progress is not going to take place with just random people who want to be enhanced, but people that have, you know, problems. They're either paraplegic or quadriplegic, and so we can restore them. And that discussion about restoration versus enhancement has been a very clear line drawn, and that's something that we've talked about and have been thinking about for a long time. But it's just interesting how the sentiment of the people that are just learning about this, you know, are they I don't know, they see it as a good thing, and they don't see the enhancement side of the conversation. You know, I had one person respond to me,
or even just the security risks.
Yeah, I mean, there's one person who responded to me saying like, "Hey," there's kind of a prophetic undertone to this, and he says, "Tell that to the paralyzed person who can now make things happen on his own when he thought he'd never be able to do that again for the rest of his life. I think you may be missing that perspective." There's like, no, we totally get that perspective. I think you might be
stuck on that perspective.
Yeah, it's of course, but number one, it still required a microchip or, you know, drilling into your skull to get there. You know, number one, and foreign objects being inserted into the brain. And number two, yeah, great, we gotten to the point of restoring, but you know this is moving in the direction of enhancement. So, you know, of course, most people aren't thinking that way.
Yeah. Or the hive mind, even more so. You know, even if, I mean, there is a perspective that some Christians have taken. We've had some of them on the show on Canary Cry Radio, where enhancement isn't necessarily, you know, the end of the world either, or the end of salvation. But when you know, go even another level deeper, the connection to the hive mind and the manipulation, you know, it's one thing to read thoughts. It's another thing to write thoughts.
Right. Yep. It's a two-way street.
Collective consciousness.
And we got a couple things from Elon here.
Some people think I'm an alien.
Yeah, here's why. Here's Elon Musk's tweet thread here. First, at Neuralink product will enable someone with paralysis to use a smartphone with their mind faster than someone using thumbs. Later versions will be able to shunt signals from Neuralinks in brain to Neuralinks in body motor sensory neuron clusters, thus enabling, for example, paraplegics to walk again. The device is implanted flush with skull and charges wirelessly, so you look and feel totally normal. Now, Basil, you know there's passages in the Bible about counterfeit signs and wonders, right?
Mm-hmm. If
you're getting a paraplegic to walk with some Neuralink stuff implanted in your brain, that's some counterfeit signs and wonders, man. That's pretty
worth
intense.
Taking a look at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying it's pretty close to it is, Elon. But that wasn't all Elon stated. He also said in another tweet, soon our monkey will be on Twitch and Discord. Ha ha. End quote. And to that, I bring you the monkey. This is TechCrunch.com. Watch a monkey equipped with Elon Musk's Neuralink device play Pong with its brain. And let's check it out here. We got the Neuralink logo.
This is Pager. He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back yet. He's learnt to interact with a computer for a tasty banana smoothie delivered through a straw. We can interact with the Neuralinks simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker.
There's the monkey
The
playing
links
thing.
record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Pager's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements.
Just for people listening, the monkey here is looking at a screen. He's got a straw in his mouth with his, what was it? Was it a banana juice or something?
Banana smoothie, baby.
Banana smoothie. And his right hand is controlling a mouse, or a joystick. Yeah, a joystick.
Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right. By recording from many neurons and feeding their activity into a decoder algorithm, we are able to predict Pager's intended hand movements in real time. First, we calibrate the decoder by recording neural activity as Pager uses the joystick to move a cursor to targets presented on the screen. As he's playing this game, we are wirelessly streaming, in real time, the firing rates from thousands of neurons to a computer.
So there's the wireless already. So while the breakthrough we just talked about was in humans, they were already showing this in monkeys.
Using these data, we calibrate the decoder by mathematically modeling the relationship between patterns of neural activity and the different joystick movements they produce. After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick. Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity.
Wow.
Yep.
Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain activity alone. Because they wouldn't be able to move a joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets. One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favourite video game, Pong. To control his paddle on the right side of the screen, Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed the joystick altogether. Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink.
It's pretty good.
Holy moly. Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, it's a monkey completely,
as you can see,
not using any controller, just shredding this Pong.
Shredding Pong and just sucking down that banana smoothie.
Drinking that banana smoothie.
Pager is amazingly good at mind Pong. He's focused, and he's playing entirely of his own volition.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
it's not magic. The reason Neuralink works is because it's recording and decoding electrical signals from the brain. Great game, Pager. And what better reward for a monkey than a banana?
Oh, cheeky. Yeah, wow, this is pretty impressive, Gonz. And like you mentioned, we've been paying attention to this stuff even before Neuralink was a company.
Yeah.
And this is the most impressive. This is way more impressive than his Happy Pigs.
Yep. I think he was hoping he can show this at the pig thing. Although, somebody in the chat's mentioning, and this is a valid point, that how do we know this is real? I guess you can't. You really can't know it's real, but...
I mean, you can't know anything is real on the internet.
Yeah. So, I guess there's that, but at a certain point...
It's also not much of a stretch from what we have seen. Yeah. Now, it all could be fake, and everything we know that's ever been on the internet could be a lie, of course. But from the similar experiments and the things leading up to this monkey, this was sort of the next step. It's just weird to actually be here so soon.
Yeah.
Less than a year. I think it's less than 6 months after the pig presentation, isn't it?
When was the pig? I thought it was last summer, so maybe about 6 months.
Maybe about a year or so. Yeah,
a little less than a year, but definitely less than a year. But yeah, I thought this was. Again, I think when Elon starts tweeting about paraplegics are going to walk. They can start showing the monkey playing Pong. You know what I mean? Like the
right.
promises are a step ahead of what they actually can show.
Yeah.
And also, the things they tell us are usually a few steps behind where they're actually at. So
right. Yeah. I mean, pair this up with like a robotic exoskeleton type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got walking paraplegics.
Yeah.
Papaya Pear in the YouTube chat says that the monkey's smarter than Joe Biden. That's mean. That's just mean. We don't harass or bully anybody on this show.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
All right. Well, sounds good. What else we got for the beast system here?
He's a Satanist.
Oh, yes. Okay. This is crazy, Gonz. And this goes along the lines of what you pointed out a couple episodes ago. They are just recycling stuff that we have covered like years ago. But this became a huge story recently. And, everybody's sharing this story and going crazy. And then, of course, I'm so proud. I see all of the Canary Cry listeners on social media. They're way ahead of it. It's fun. You get to shame people who have not been paying attention to stuff we've been following.
All of the stuff that we're talking about here.
Yeah. So this is coming from Newsweek, so it's going to be good. The headline reads, "Can blood from young people slow aging? Silicon Valley has bet billions on it." No kidding. The Spanish firm Grifols helped set off a kerfuffle last year when it, along with other firms, offered nearly double the going price for blood donations for a COVID-19 treatment trial. Brigham Young University in Idaho had to threaten some enterprising students with suspension to keep them from intentionally trying to contract COVID-19. The trial failed, however, and now the Barcelona-based firm is hoping to extract something far more valuable from the plasma of young volunteers, a set of microscopic molecules that could reverse the process of aging itself. What an interesting way to start this article. This company who is trying to cure COVID-19 and got a bunch of blood donated, well, they didn't fix COVID, but what are they going to do with all this blood? Well, earlier this year, Grifols closed a $146 million deal to buy Alcahest, a company founded by Stanford University neuroscientist Tony Wise-Corey, who, along with Saul Villeda, revealed in scientific papers published in 2011 and 2014 that the blood from young mice had seemingly miraculous restorative effects on the brains of elderly mice.
That's the story we covered, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we covered the mice in way back. But last year we were covering that they were actually making it available to humans.
Right.
The discovery adds to a hot area of inquiry called geroscience that, quote, seeks to understand molecular and cellular mechanisms that make aging a major risk factor and driver of common chronic conditions and diseases of older adulthood. According to the National Institutes of Health, in the last 6 years, Alkahest has identified more than 8,000 proteins in the blood that show potential promise as therapies. Its efforts and those of Grifols have resulted in at least 6 phase 2 trials completed or underway to treat a wide range of age-related diseases, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. I noted your hesitancy there when I mentioned that we had covered the human use of this. Remember, it was a Silicon Valley company that was charging $8,000 per transfusion.
Yeah, no, I wasn't hesitant.
Oh, okay.
You read me wrong.
I did.
Racist.
I needed to connect our Neuralinks better. Alkahest and a growing number of other geroscience health startups signal a change in thinking about some of the most intractable diseases facing humankind. Again, it's about diseases and medical stuff, not just about, rich people wanting that sweet baby blood to stay young. And notice, again, they're making it all about medicine and diseases, but you scroll all the way to the top, and the picture is of an old woman. Half of her face is old woman, and then she's holding up a younger version of herself on the right side. So it's obviously not just about diseases. It's about anti-aging. Rather than focusing solely on the etiology of individual diseases like heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and arthritis, or for that matter, COVID-19, geroscientists are trying to understand how these diseases relate to the single largest risk factor of all, human aging. Their goal is to hack the process of aging itself, and in the process, delay or stave off the onset of many of the diseases most associated with growing old. The idea that aging and illness go hand in hand is, of course, nothing new. What's new is the newfound confidence of scientists that aging can be measured, reverse engineered, and controlled. Until recently, quote, people working on diseases did not think that aging was modifiable, says Felipe Sierra, who recently retired as director of the Division of Aging Biology at the National Institute on Aging, a part of the NIH. Oh, that's interesting. It's part of the NIH.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's why Fauci's stoked.
Yeah, Division of Aging Biology at the National Institute on Aging.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna die. I can be young again.
I can be young again. Then the Gen Zs will really love me.
I'll throw that baseball again.
What if it's all about that? An entire revenge
he just
plan.
He wants redemption.
To beat aging, to be able to take back his pitch failure.
His horrible pitch, yeah.
Quote, that is actually what many medical books say. The main risk factor for cardiovascular disease is aging, but we cannot change aging, so let's talk about cholesterol and obesity. For Alzheimer's, aging is the main risk factor, but let's talk about the buildup in the brain of beta amyloid proteins. Now, that is beginning to change. The result is a flood of investment money. No kidding. Yeah. An explosion of research into that. You know what? If I had a couple extra bucks laying around and somebody would let me invest in the blood money. I mean, talk about blood money. Holy moly. An explosion of research into what precisely goes wrong in our bodies as we get old and the promise of clinical results down the road. In the months before the pandemic, investors ponied up billions of dollars to fund biotechs aimed at commercializing the new science. Some biotech firms are developing drugs and infusions designed to clean up zombie-like cells and metabolic metabolic junk that accumulated with age. Others hope to infuse new vigor into flagging cellular components such as stem cells, or spur the body into beneficial actions by adding obscure hormones or proteins that decrease as we get older. The NIA, under its director Richard Hades recently announced plans to spend about $100 million over the next 5 years on basic research aimed at understanding cellular senescence. Senescence? Yeah, okay.
Senescence, yeah.
Quote, "You have no idea how many people are interested in investing money in longevity."
You have no idea.
I think I do, Mr. Barzilai. Oh, this is Barzilai.
I remember Barzilai.
Yeah.
We've talked about this dude.
Yes, we have. The founding director wow, my brain just glitched super hard. The founding director of the Institute for Aging Research at Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Yeshiva University, and the founder of a company aimed at mitochondrial health. Quote, "There are billions of dollars." No kidding.
Billions of dollars.
Billions. 1 billion.
Sounds
Although
very
the
happy.
vast majority of these efforts remain in preclinical development, several have recently entered FDA trials. So they're further along than the COVID vaccine and could potentially hit the market in a few years. That's disinfo. The FDA trials are ongoing with the COVID vaccine. Some are already...
I'm just picturing Fauci coming in with all that blood collected. Stop the COVID. We got the vaccines.
Stop the COVID.
Give us the anti-aging stuff.
You know, it'd be interesting. What if there's an emergency use authorization for these baby blood transfusions? Yeah. Some are already appearing on the gray market, raising concerns that hucksters are peddling anti-aging snake oil. Others, meanwhile, worry what might happen if these drugs actually do deliver on their promise. Will poor young people be coerced into selling their blood to elderly billionaires?
Never.
Will magical anti-aging pills become the province of the Park Avenue and Hollywood rich, like facelifts and hair plugs and Botox injections? Will the rest of us senile peasants be forced to watch them age backwards as we are left to wither and die? Oh, it's so nice they throw in all these rhetorical questions.
QAnon verified. Newsweek verified. That's a headline that people on the fringes can take. Newsweek confirms QAnon conspiracy.
Seriously, I mean, that's the funny thing. Like, of course, QAnon, and not even just QAnon, but Pizzagate before QAnon, talked about adrenochrome. But that's crazy. The adrenochrome is crazy. But Silicon Valley bros pumping Hollywood actresses filled with baby blood being taken from poor young people. No, that's just business, baby. Let's see here.
I just like this next sentence here under hacking old age. Getting old usually doesn't end well. Okay, thanks. Real informative.
Yeah. Then the article is extremely long.
It's really long. This guy spent a lot of time.
Yeah. Then it just goes into a bunch of the science, which for the purposes of this show is not the most important part. But yeah, so there you go. Thanks for all those rhetorical questions. And yes, of course, this will be wonderful for the rich and will just be another drain of hope for the poor.
Literal drain.
Yeah. But again, weird that these, as far as we read, and what we read before the show, I did not see them any mention of what the former company was that was doing this a year or two ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder. I just don't know. I mean, this was already happening. I think we talked about this before. I mean, I was in a different living situation when we reported on the company doing this. So it was at least a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, I bring it up every time we have a story like this, but I'll mention Matthew 24:37, for as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. And of course, lifespan during the days of Noah is something to be noted. Noah lived for 950 years. Several of the early patriarchs before then, from Adam on, lived for close to over, they're definitely over 900 years for many of them. And then even after the flood, the patriarchs after Noah to Abraham, you have Shem, who lived 600, Shelah, who lived 433, and then it slowly declines to Abraham, who lived for 175. And by then, Noah was dead. But it's just something to consider. If we're talking about the days of Noah and Jesus mentioning it, what was going on in the days of Noah? People were living longer. So in general, that trend towards living longer seems to be a product or a feature of the end times, as Jesus highlighted in his Olivet Discourse. So something to note.
So considering the time, Gonz, I'm fine pushing this next story to next show.
Okay, it's a big story.
It's an evergreen, and it really deserves a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, we'll push that to next show.
All right. Well, that means we're taking a break.
Woo!
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got some WACO news, some good, important WACO updates you're going to want to stick around for. And then after that, yes, I see you all talking about it in the chat. We'll be talking about Ben Shapiro and the return of the Messiah, as well as some CERN news you don't want to miss out on. So don't go anywhere, folks. But before that, we want to thank some of our producers. That's right, because we are on the value for value model. You might notice we have done no ad reads, no affiliate codes, and no trying to sell you supplements. And after maybe not saving some children from smuggling.
And stopping a car.
And stopping a car with our bare hands and gorilla strength, thanks to our supplements. No, we're on the value for value model, folks, which means we do not bend a knee to the advertising industry. We do not believe in the mind control that was perfected in the mid-20th century, the godfather of which, Edward Bernays, was also the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who just pretty much flat out said the average man needs an elite man to craft his worldview, tell him what his needs are, and sell him whatever we want to sell him. Of course, it's all wrapped up in the Hegelian dialectic. Any ad, and I'm saying that, and I know a lot of people we are friends with run ads, and that's okay. We still love you so much, but any ad is in the business of creating a problem and then selling you the solution to the problem. So we don't participate in that here. In fact, we take no corporate money because, as Adam Curry says, every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. No ads, no affiliate codes, no YouTube money, no super chats, no Twitch partnerships. The list goes on of the money that we don't get for doing this show. But that's okay, because we're on the value for value model, which means you, dear listener, if you get any value out of what we do here 3 times a week, you just have the responsibility, I would say. I usually say the opportunity, but it's also the responsibility, because this is a paradigm shift in how we are provided with and interact with the media we have today. And if you enjoy what we do, if it brings any value into your life, it's your turn to put some value back in. And that comes in many forms. It's not just money. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But for those who want to put a number on the value that is provided by the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And I'll make it easy for everybody. There are no new producers over on Patreon.
Not true.
What?
We have one.
No, we don't.
Returning. No,
we don't. No, this is going to be. There's some confusion here.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
We're going to figure out what's going on there.
All right.
But don't worry about that, Patreon producers. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
Yes, that's what we have.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great way to show your support for the show and keep it going. Fact of the matter is, the show does not get produced if the producers stop producing. So we've got options over there, folks, all sorts of options. You can come in as a monthly recurring producer if you are just committed to keeping the show going. But if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount. There's also cryptocurrency and all sorts of other fun things over on that page. So go check it out. Gonz, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
PayPal. We actually have a great list of people. Thank you, everybody, for coming in.
Yeah, this before we start, this has really been a very encouraging show. So I would say all of these producers, we are so incredibly grateful for. It's an up and down game in the value for value business, but we are so thankful that the producers showed up so hard for show 322.
Yes. And we want to start by thanking producer James H.
Thank you very much. Producer James H. Been very consistent lately, coming in with a pocket full of sevens.
Yep. Next up, we want to thank producer Frankie L.
Thank you very much, producer Frankie L.
Frankie L. And next, producer Jacob M.
Thank you very much. Jacob M. came in with a note that said, thanks, guys. You're welcome, producer Jacob.
You're welcome. Next up, Basil, I haven't decided whether to say the whole second half of this or not. That's why I have it in the little brackets there.
Oh, because you can't tell if it's a thing or a name?
A thing or a name.
That is... I just do the whole thing.
All right. Okay. We gotta thank producer Classy Badge.
Yes. Thank you very much. And sorry if we doxed you. I think that's a thing. I think that's a code name.
There was a link to a website, but the website didn't lead anywhere. I checked it.
Oh.
But so Classy Badge, if there's something that you wanted us to mention, let us know. But thank you for the producership.
Thank
Classy
you very much.
Badge.
Producer Classy.
Producer Classy, yeah. Next up, producer Kara W.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kara. And they have a note here. It says, don't worry, Gonz, we've got your back. # Stop Asian Hate.
I think we did. I think we did it.
I think we stopped Asian hate. We solved it.
At least hate towards one Asian. Next up, yeah.
Real quick, just because this person has asked the question many times in the chat, can you leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts without owning an Apple product? I've looked around Google Play, other places on the internet, but haven't found something I can download. I don't know.
That's
do you
a good
know?
Question.
Do you know that answer?
I don't. I'm guessing you have to have an Apple product.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Use your friend's phone. Just log in with their info on their phone and leave a rating and review. In fact, everybody do that. Yeah. If you've already left a review, steal your mom's phone or your friend
stealing,
or whatever.
Borrow. No stealing here. We're not encouraging anybody to steal.
Go on to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and a review.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next up, the return of producer The Bush, the Protector.
Thank you very much, producer The Bush, the Protector. And coming in with a very generous amount of $177.33.
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty big.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were. Although the Bush, the Protector, was outdone today a couple times.
It's not a competition, Gonz.
It's a competition. We're making a competition.
It's not a competition. Thank you very much for your generosity, producer The Bush, the Protector.
Yes, very much so. Next up, we have producer Stephen B.
Thank you very much, producer Stephen B. or Stephen B.
Yeah, I think it's Stephen, although I don't know. And he came in with 322.33.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a commitment to showing us some love on episode 322.
And,
Thank you very much, producer Stephen B.
And a great note. As your Skull and Bones handler, I had to commemorate your 322 show. Keep up the awesome work. May Jesus continue to speak to you and through you. I enjoyed meeting everyone at the Dallas meetup. Hegelian malfeasance in the chat.
That is so fun. I'm so stoked to hear, producer Steven, that you were at the Dallas meetup. And Hegelian malfeasance is maybe the best possible name to have on the internet.
Steven!
I believe you are the executive producer of this episode. So you did it.
I believe so as well.
You did it.
Thank you very much, producer Steven.
Next up, we have producer Arnold W.
Woohoo! Thank you very much, producer Arnold W.
Yeah, and he came in. The amount is very clever. We'll mention it because I think it has that number in there. It counts. Yeah, so he came in with 103.22, which has that 322 in there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, he's like, I want to give the 322 amount, but also I want to be very generous. So thank you very much, producer Arnold W.
Yeah, but also maybe he wants to, pay for dinner a couple nights or something, save something for himself.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Very generous. Thank you, Arnold W. Next up, we have our Russian KGB friend, Vladimir.
Oh, Vladimir, KGB handler. Thank you very much for your producership of $12.26. And you send note. Note says the great collapse of evil empire. I don't know which evil empire we are speaking of. Did an evil empire collapse in 1226?
Maybe. That's a good question.
I have to do a quick search on that. But thank you, producer Vladimir.
Yeah. Oh, no. 1226 Empire brings up an address in Memphis and other places. Maybe he's doxing himself.
It's another KGB activation code. We've got our address. We've got our address for our Winter Soldier meetup activation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Vladimir. Next up, we have producer Shield Labs.
Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs.
And he has a note. Prince Philip dies at age of 33 times 3.
Mm-hmm. Called it.
Yep, very true.
And also, producer Shield Labs sent us an article we're going to mention later on in the show.
Yep. And next up, producer Joshua E.
Thank you very much, producer Joshua E.
And Joshua E comes in with 322.00.
Oh my gosh. Thank you very much, producer Joshua. We might actually be able to pay some bills this month, Gonz.
I know. Yeah, it's nice. Appreciate that. And, I think usually we pick one executive producer, but I'm going to go ahead and add Joshua E. as an executive producer. Put him on there,
some co-executive producers.
Yeah, because Steven
got him by 33 cents.
33 cents, yeah. Edged him out. But I think we can name them both for their generosity.
I think that's okay. I think producer Steven is willing to share.
All right. Next up, we have consistent, probably maybe one of our most consistent, Malik.
Yes. Thank you very much, producer Malik.
Producer Malik.
You're the man. Glad to have you in the list here.
Yep.
And we had one just come in during the segment.
Wow.
And that is producer Ted P.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ted P. Coming in with $32.20.
Oh,
with the
there
322.
You go. 322. Yep. Mm-hmm. And as of right now, I think that concludes our list of PayPal producers, and it's a great list. I think it's one of our best lists ever, to be honest with you. Other than
I think so. Yeah, it is record-breaking, perhaps.
Yeah, in terms of number of people, I think when nights come in, maybe that was in terms of amount, maybe more, but in terms of volume, this is very amazing. This is very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of our financial producers. We're going to get into thanking some producers who produced in other ways as well, equally as valuable. Got to create the content for the show, baby. But I do want to mention the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. That's right. It's an exclusive commando squad of producers who have supported the show over any period of time in the amount of $1,000 or more. I only mention it specifically because of some higher-end producers here. They're at least made a big jump towards their knighthood, and I recommend they check their own accounting. And if they have supported in the amount of $1,000 or more, let us know. Let's get you knighted on the show.
Yep. And so, again, as Basil mentioned, that's all of our producers for our treasure. But we do have other ways you can support the show with your time and with your talent. First off, people providing their time, producer Jade Bouncerson and producer Christine for doing timestamps. Thank you so much for that. And again, I think they're still, I don't know, I checked actually. I don't know if we have an update on Jade Bouncerson's timestamp team, but again, you can email her to inquire about that.
Yes. In fact, I will just do you one better, Gonz, and I will strongly urge anyone who makes a habit out of catching the live shows, and maybe you've been tuning in for what, a year? A couple months, 6 months? How long have you been tuning into every single show? And look, maybe producing in other ways is not in the cards for you, but helping producer Jade Bouncerson with the timestamps may be your path to redemption to becoming a producer, a part of the show. The timestamp team is a very important part of what we do here. Having the timestamps created live during the live show is very important and will become even more important. So if you're looking for a way to give back to the show, and it's not just myself, Basil, and Gonz, it's also giving back to your fellow producers, giving back to your fellow listeners, and becoming a real essential part of the community. And if that sounds like something you want to do, join the timestamp team. We're trying to get a little team together, so it's not like a huge commitment for any one person, but a relatively manageable commitment for a number of people. So go ahead, get a pen, get a pencil, make a note on your phone, email Jade Bouncerson, JADEBOUNCER, son, bouncer son, @gmail.com. Email now, join the team. We will give you just the hugest high five for joining that team and helping out with those timestamps. Yep. And those of you producing the show with your talent. Real quick, sorry to interrupt, but because Christine in the YouTube is on the timestamp team, Christine in the YouTube is mentioning, even if you can only do one episode a month, so you can be a very small commitment. Okay, I'm seeing Cody say, put me in, coach. Oh, wait, I don't know if he's saying for that, but well, now I just volunteered Cody to be on the timestamp team. But yes, Christine saying, even if you can only do one episode a month, in all caps. That's right. Just it's an easy thing and very important to the show. Sorry. Okay, let's keep going. Yes. So as I was saying, you can help produce the show with your talent. And that includes sending us jingles, ISOs, or, things that make noises. Or with your art.
One art, please.
Woo! And today we have a good handful of art from our artists, producers. And first up we have producer Allie coming in. And I believe this is a portrait to commemorate the passing of Prince Philip. Yes. It's very well done, although... this is his black eye picture. Yeah. He's in the Black Eye Club, and you picked the correct picture, producer Allie, this portraiture of Prince Philip, as he is remembered by so many of us with a black eye and reptilian eyeballs. Reptilian eyes, just real subtle, subtle. People that wouldn't know, they wouldn't really recognize what this represents. They don't even understand that they're
that they're trained to think that the reptilian eyes is what all rich people look like. Not rich, elites, royals.
Yeah. Thank you, Producer Ali. This is a great commemorative piece here for the passing of Prince Philip the Reptilian.
Mm-hmm.
Which 99, I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll come back.
Maybe.
I don't know what that means. Next up, we have producer Mike B. He sent us a little handful of pieces here. This first one, I think this is another Rebus. Word pictures.
Which one are you showing?
It's the third one in the series when you're looking at it in the doc there. I'm going backwards.
Okay. Yeah, this one. Yes, okay. So he has VAH, Va, and then it shows a loom.
Loom, yeah.
And then he has Ma, which is a Chinese character or something. And then NIS, Nis. But he puts the answer right there.
Yeah.
Voluminous. This isn't a game. What is this?
Yeah, he said in his note, or at least the subject line of his email when he sent it to us, he said, you guys never read my notes anyway.
No, I was unaware he was sending notes.
I maybe, I don't know.
Has he been giving us the answers the whole time?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, well, it's okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Voluminous. What does this have to do with anything?
The next one is a little bit harder to decode. Do you want to give it a shot here? I spent about a minute on it. And
okay, let's see here. So it's a man sort of holding his hand up to his brow, like you do if you're a
searching
pirate looking for something. Then there's a picture of the ocean with a circle and an X through it. Then there's Spot, the robot dog. And then there's, what is this? Scared people?
Yeah, I'm a little lost on this one. Yeah, search
no see. Search
something see no see spot run. Something about see spot run. Not no see spot run. What?
Search see.
Search no see spot run.
Search. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think you're there. I think conceptually we've made it. But I don't quite get the search no see. Search no see spot run. See no see. See no see spot robot British people.
See no see spot run. Bot run.
Is this connected with voluminous? I'm still stuck on voluminous. Is this do we connect these things together, or did he just choose the word voluminous? Mike B, I need your notes. I'm begging for your notes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. He's got one more here. This one. All right. This one confused me just as much, which is always great. I think it's the Capitol insurrection. You got the Capitol building there.
This is beautiful.
You got somebody wearing a Mandalorian mask running around.
I think that's you.
That's me. Okay.
I think you're wearing the Mandalorian mask, and then there's a baby holding a picket sign with just scribbles on it, and babies everywhere. So I think we're making a statement about a bunch of babies.
Is that you in the Iron Man mask?
Is that me? I couldn't tell if it was me or just an Iron Man baby.
But that baby looks like he's a little too old to be wearing diapers. The way he looks.
That's true. It does look like a grown man wearing diapers. Mike B, what are you saying?
Okay. Mike B, thank you for your contributions.
Wait, is this a rebus or just a fun image? Am I supposed to decode?
You can give it a try. I don't think it's a rebus. It could be just
Gonz.
Maybe he's speaking to us saying we're a bunch of babies.
That might be it.
Maybe he's trying to insult us.
Are we babies or are we the adults? I mean, I am wearing a diaper. I'm a grown man wearing a diaper, so I think we know where he stands on me with my Iron Man helmet. But you're also a white person in this, Gonz.
You don't know that.
I'm
you can't
looking
see
at
his
those
face.
arms. Looking at those arms and those legs.
Yeah.
Also, I think as a child, this is Mike B. You've really taken us on a journey today, and I thank you for it.
Yeah, all the toys too, all the little kid baby toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, producer Mike B. Continues with the mysterious art that
yes,
that is keeps us on our toes. I guess
keeps us guessing.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Magoo coming in. The True Adventures of Basil and Gonz, Episode 3. Is there a doctor in the house?
Huh. Hold on. Epony Blaze in the chat is saying, Gonz, you put out a challenge on the baby/capital thing last show.
Oh, okay.
Did you put out challenges?
I did. I
forget about them?
I forgot about it. Yes, I remember mentioning something about that. That makes a lot more sense.
Mike B, you're fine. Gonz is the one who's in trouble for
I'm
this.
the one. I do
have to be honest, and we've been called out for it before, Gonz.
Yeah.
We do so much material every week. It is very difficult to remember things that we said 2 days ago.
Yeah, it is. It does get a little fuzzy.
I can remember, the weird thing is, and I'm sure it annoys people, but, we're able to remember very specific news stories that we've covered. 2 years ago, but even 9 years ago at the beginning of Canary Cry Radio. But we can't remember what we said on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, that doesn't make me feel better about myself at the moment, but it's a true statement. It's very true. Ask the wife; she'll tell you.
Okay, all right. What did Mr. Magoo do for us today?
Mr. Magoo, yes, he did the True Adventures of Basil and Gonz, Episode 3. Is there a doctor in the house? And in Mr. Magoo fashion, you have you to the left, me with my I always have a different body form. Very interesting.
I'm always a stick figure, and you're always a more fleshed out individual, but sort of an amorphous blob.
Yeah, you're saying Doc Foot. It's man.
Doc Fuch.
I know,
Doc Fuch.
I know, but it says Foot. You the man, well. And then I'm saying we're not worthy, and then there's a Dr. Future with a cape.
Dr. Future.
On a little soapbox there, and he's identified as Dr. Future. So, yes.
Yeah. And those who don't know who Dr. Future is, Gonz.
He was a co-host or main host of Future Quake, a long-standing podcast, and he is the author of, oh boy, he's going to yell at me for not remembering the name, 2 Gospels, 2, I just finished reading it, too.
And Future Quake... ending was one of the reasons why we started doing Canary Cry Radio.
Yeah, Future Quake was on from, I believe it was like 2000, I want to say 6, maybe it was earlier than that. And they ended their run in 2012 at the beginning of the year, and that's when we picked up the baton and said, we shall continue with the shows that explore the different aspects and come from a biblical perspective.
I don't know if we did it because of, but it was
not because of, but it was another reason to do it.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 Masters, 2 Gospels is the name of his book that I think every Christian needs to read. All right, so thank you, Mr. Magoo. And next up, we got a piece of art from producer Chumley. Producer
Chumley. You think it's the Chumley?
No, probably not, but maybe. I don't know. We did get a note.
Jail? I think he's in jail.
Maybe he did it from jail.
Oh.
He gave us a note. He says, here's a drawing I made of Gonz is Woke Patrol. It says walk, but I think he meant woke.
No, it was the Walk Patrol because it was...
right.
Yes.
Again,
yes. I didn't
forget.
realize when I said it that Walk Patrol means something different in the context of Asian Americans. It was people took it more cleverly than I meant it at the moment.
He says, I'm a terrible artist, but when Basil said walk patrol, I thought of bare-physiqued Gonz forming a walk patrol. And then I thought of him defending us all from the Revelation 9:10 demonic forces.
Yeah,
that's
the scorpions
the outline here.
with
Revelation
vaccine
9:10.
tails.
Yeah. Yeah. The jab tails. Also included, he actually left in the email, he left a document. It was an interview, an article with former vice president of Pfizer. And the headline of the little article here is exclusive former Pfizer VP, quote, "Your government is lying to you in a way that could lead to your death." Subtitle, "Look out the window and think, why is my government lying to me about something so fundamental? Because I think the answer is they are going to kill you using this method. They're going to kill you and your family." So,
Okay.
all right. Former Pfizer, Dr. Mike Yeadon.
Wait, that was the guy from Pfizer that said that?
Apparently.
Will you read that again?
Headline exclusive, former Pfizer VP, quote, "Your government is lying to you in a way that could lead to your death." And the subheading here with the quote, "Look out the window and think, quote, why is my government lying to me about something so fundamental? Because I think the answer is they're going to kill you using this method. They're going to kill you and your family."
They don't mention the method. This is like a kind of an attention-grabbing headline.
Let me see if I can find
a long headline. It's like a Daily Mail headline.
If you recognize,
is it a screenshot or did they actually send the link?
No, it's the whole thing. It's several pages long.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at that later.
Yeah, it talks about eugenicists and don't just turn your computer off and go to supper, stop, look out the window. Yeah, I think he's talking about the vaccine.
Huh.
Yeah. The eugenicists have got hold of the levers of power, and this is a quote by him. And this is a really artful way of getting you to line up and receive some unspecified thing that will damage you. I have no idea what it will actually be, but it won't be a vaccine because you don't need one. And it won't kill you on the end of the needle because you would spot that.
What's the date on this?
April 7th, I think, 2021. Yesterday. Life Site.
Oh.
Is Life Site a...
yeah, we'll have to look at this some other time. Life Site is kind of on the level of natural news in my book. But let's keep going.
But hey, if he was actually a former VP and he's out there saying stuff, I mean,
if that is true, that is quite shocking. Yeah. But now's not the time. We'll look into that. Thank you for sending it to us.
Yes. So Chumley finishes his note here. He says, "Please keep me anonymous." Well, yes, Chumley. Call me Chumley. There you go.
Okay,
Chumley. Nobody knows who you are, Chumley. Don't worry. Unless you're the Chumley from. What's that? The pawn shop store?
Porn. Gosh dang it. Pawn Stars.
Yeah, Pawn Stars. What's on your mind, bro?
No, so here's the reason. I lived with a British guy for a while.
Okay.
Right in the height of Pawn Stars' popularity.
Yeah.
And as a British person, he couldn't pronounce pawn in the American way, or didn't. So it's kind of an ongoing joke. That
I see.
He loved the show, so he would always ask us if we had seen porn stars lately. Did I see the last porn star? No, I didn't. All right, let's move on.
All right. Lastly, producer Danielle L. And this is a piece of mail that came in through the snail mail. It had the googly eyes on the envelope. So there's for those of you watching, I'm holding up the envelope here with the googly eyes.
Oh, let me look at it. There we go.
Yep, you'll see it.
Oh,
and then,
my stream is behind. Oh no.
Yeah, that's normal. And,
I'll figure it out.
The piece of art that Danielle sent is up on the screen here, but in a moment we will describe it. Let me read the note here. Gonz and Basil, thought I'd send you guys a drawing in the mail. I'm a millennial Luddite, I guess you could say. LOL.
Cool.
I'm stubborn about it, like listening to CDs, writing notes, sending physical mail, and talking on the phone, etc. I think technology is stealing a lot of the joy of being human and putting in time and effort to produce something meaningful. This drawing may be kind of silly, but hopefully it makes you both feel special that I took the time to make it.
Yeah, it
and
does.
send it to you. Thanks for all you do, Danielle. So thank you, Danielle. And
thank you very much.
I have the physical copy here. And,
cool.
Yeah, right here. I'm showing it.
Got to get a frame for that.
I know, it's very fragile. Do you want to describe what's going on here in the?
Yeah. So, what is the medium that is this? Like markers, or is this paint? What is this?
Marker. Yeah, I think it's like highlighter and marker and stuff. It's very well
it looks
done.
like quality art markers. But it says, so we've got, well, at the top it says, Major Biden returns to White House after biting an unfamiliar person's arms. And we've got, let me go to my bigger version here. Oh, I lost control of my hand. No. Wait, I got it. Oh, geez. Okay, there we go. And so we've got... you can't give me the jab if I don't have any arms. Give mine to Flippy. This is a man, kind of reminiscent of Biden, but I think it's an unfamiliar person.
Right.
And he's got no arms, and in front of his body, he's got corn pops. Come on, man.
Come on,
artificial.
man.
No artificial numbers, it says. Life matters. 420 grams. Numbers inflated to dang it. It's
to cause panic.
Thank you. Okay. To cause panic. Serial killer. And it's 666 calories, 2% of sugar, 33 milligrams of spice, and a lot of sass. This is very funny. Thank you very much, Producer Danielle.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done. Thank you, Producer Danielle. And that will do it for the artists. And let me just mention real briefly, Producer Ciara is heading up the meetups. This one's coming up. Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Canary Cry meetup. Come join fellow Canarians for fun, fellowship, and adventure. Children always welcome, as long as they're not being trafficked, or Alex Jones will stop you in your tracks.
Mm-hmm.
April
Watch
24th, Luffenholtz Beach, Trinidad, California, 2 p.m. Contact ciaralauren93@gmail.com for more information.
That's right. Do it. That's CIARA Lauren, LAUREN 93@gmail.com. Do it. You must meet up with other Canarians. It's a great time. We saw the pictures from the last meetup in Dallas at the Grassy Knoll. It's very important, especially now that you're kind of able to go out and not get...
no excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. Go meet other Canarians just like you. It's very healthy. It's very healthy for you.
Yes, and we will be expecting a report from this meetup.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and are we ready to kind of start waking up?
You want to do just mention Canary Cry community real quick, and then we'll get back into it.
Make sure to head over to canarycry.community. That's right. It's our exclusive social media alternative. Get off of Facebook, get off of Twitter, get off of whatever you're doing, or stay there. I don't care. Do what you want. But also head over to canarycry.community. It's our Canarians only social media experience. It's not, don't worry, there's no algorithms, no big data, no nothing. Just a bunch of people just like you, not going to be triggered or report you to anybody. A great group of people and even better moderators. So thank you to Producer Smiley for running that for us over there and his team of quality moderators. All right. That's canarycry.community. I know, sounds crazy. It's a real URL. Go check it out.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Wakching time.
Wakching time.
Wakching.
We got to get through these fairly quickly, Basil.
Yep, let's do it. So I'm going to start off. Thank you to producer Shield Labs for sending us this. This is from ABC7.com. Eyewitness News, ABC7. That's Los Angeles, I think. The headline is La Soufriere volcano on Caribbean St. Vincent Island erupts as thousands evacuate. Oh, it actually erupted. Okay, let me Did it? Yeah, okay. Sorry. Puerto Rico. An explosive eruption rocked La Sufrera volcano on the eastern Caribbean island of St. Vincent on Friday following mandatory evacuation orders from local government. Let me pop over to my other one here. Eurosia Joseph, director of the University of the West Indies Seismic Center, said the ash column rose as high as 6 miles. The eruption followed mandatory evacuation orders issued Thursday as officials began to move people who live near La Sufrera volcano, planning to soon place them aboard cruise ships and send them to nearby islands or take them to shelters elsewhere in St. Vincent that are outside the danger zone. So keep that in mind. There's an evacuation using cruise ships and taking to other islands. Roughly 16,000 people live in the red zone and will need to be evacuated. Eurosia Joseph, director of the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, told the Associated Press. The pandemic could hamper evacuation efforts. Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez said in a press conference that people have to be vaccinated if they go aboard a cruise ship or are granted temporary refuge in another island. He said 2 Royal Caribbean cruise ships are expected to arrive by Friday and a third one in the coming days, as well as 2 Carnival cruise ships by Friday. Islands that have said they would accept evacuees include St. Lucia, Grenada, Barbados, and Antigua. That's right, folks. If you want to escape the choking ash and burning lava of this volcano, you must get vaccinated. That's pretty messed up.
That's crazy.
Don't want to get vaccinated? Stay right where you are.
That's insanity. This is
really dark.
Yeah, this is like the prime minister over there.
Prime minister.
Yeah, basically ordering the murder of people of his own country.
Yeah, whichever way you want to do it. Yeah, it's no matter what, even if you don't go that far, you must get vaccinated or stay in the volcano zone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You stay in there. If you don't get your vaccine, you got to stay back and breathe the ash, and maybe you'll be turned to fire.
Yeah, pretty dark.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of that story.
Yeah, that's troubling. But the troubling doesn't stop. This next one here is from ToddStarnes.com. Canadian police barricade church with riot-style fence, quote, all under the guise of a health order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was being shared around a little bit.
Yeah, this was trending on our last show day. We didn't get a chance to look into it before the show. But yeah, this was what is it? Was this Grace Life Church? Is that what it was called?
Grace
Somebody
Life
in the
Church of Edmonton. Yeah. Canadian authorities surrounded an evangelical church in Alberta with chain link fencing and blocked the entrance to the parking lot with police vehicles and unmarked SUVs, according to local reports. Grace Life Church of Edmonton has been physically closed by Alberta Health Services for violating coronavirus public health orders. The pastor, James Coates, was jailed for 35 days and fined $1,500 in February and charged with violating health orders, CBC reported. And there's pictures of it that were being shared. And, it looks like a prison, like the way they barricaded all the way around.
Yeah, serious. They put up a fence around the whole church building. And it's a big church building. I mean, this is a sizable church, and the government shows up and puts a fence around it for public health.
Yeah.
It was pretty messed up.
Yeah, this kind of thing, it's interesting because as the whole pandemic, quote unquote, lifts, I think a lot of the politicians, local authorities that experienced a level of authority that maybe they hadn't before, they're going to have a hard time letting go of it, and I think this is an example of that. We had something similar to that down here in Southern California. One of the restaurants that remained open while, all the shutdowns were happening. Basically, it's like a family-owned restaurant, and recently the son got arrested for nothing, but for doing nothing but because he defied orders of shutting down restaurants. And this is I don't know, a week or two ago. You know, people are like opening back up, but they're like, oh, they went against the order, so we must arrest him.
Yeah,
and it's out of control.
You got the Nazi psychopaths, ISO?
Oh, yes, I do.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
They say that after they leave, though. You can't say that if they're coming back. You know?
Yeah.
All right, how about this one? This is better.
Nazis are not welcome here.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. I got another story here from CBS News.
Oh, yeah.
Headline: 2 vaccine sites close after adverse reactions to Johnson & Johnson shot. The race to vaccinate hit more roadblocks on Thursday as several patients at mass vaccination site in North Carolina suffered immediate reactions to the Johnson & Johnson shot. A day earlier, 11 people had adverse reactions in Denver, ranging from dizziness to nausea. Both sites temporarily shut down. Quote, critical error. Okay, I'm back.
No.
Quote, at this point, we have no reason to believe there's anything wrong with the vaccine itself, said Dr. Shauna Gully, a Centura Health Chief Clinical Officer. Quote, this is a temporary pause of one brand of vaccine so that we can investigate it further.
They're always like that. They're always like,
I know.
Like,
what do you
shutting
mean
it down. But
wrong?
there's nothing wrong. It's just, we're just making sure.
Down thousands of people from getting it. You must think something is wrong. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Please move along. The news comes as distribution of Johnson & Johnson vaccine is expected to fall 85% next week, due in part to a factory mix-up. Oh, is that what you call it? Meanwhile...
we mixed it up. We don't know what's happened. It's over here. It's over there.
Just a little mix-up. Nothing to see here. Nope, we're just shutting this down because a bunch of people almost died. No, it's totally safe, but just a little factory mix-up. Meanwhile, the Midwest is on the verge of relapse.
Relapse?
Yes, we're going to relapse. We just can't get enough of that COVID. We just love this stuff.
You don't have to get too much further into the story because the next one actually, I think, summarizes some of what this article tries to discuss.
The fun part. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we just get into it?
Yeah, so this is Today's Show. And so this is Today's Show tweeting out some states with stricter rules are now seeing surges in COVID-19 cases, while many others that rush to reopen are experiencing sizable drops. The numbers have experts scratching their heads. What is going on? So here we go.
Call it a COVID conundrum. In states with the strictest measures in the country, like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and much of...
Sorry, I couldn't pass that up.
Movie style voice guy.
Call it the COVID conundrum.
It's a COVID conundrum.
In states with the strictest measures in the country, like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and much of New England, cases are on the rise. While in the South, states like Arkansas and Texas that have reopened businesses and ripped away mask mandates are seeing their numbers drop.
Well, I'm announcing today.
Hold on. Ripped away mask
mandates.
Ripped away mask mandates. It's like giving the image of somebody like ripping off your mask. Rip it off.
That the statewide mask mandate will be lifted.
People and businesses don't need the state telling them how to operate.
So what might explain the apparent contradiction? One theory, differences in testing rates. Alabama has experienced one of the biggest dips in reported infections, more than 50% in 2 weeks. But it's also dead last in the U.S. for COVID testing, only 56 tests per 100,000 people. That's a fraction of what you'll find in places like Vermont, Massachusetts, and New York, where numbers are surging.
How much does lack of adequate testing have to do with the numbers that we're seeing right now?
When you don't test, you're blind. And when you're not testing, you have a false sense of what the real problem is in your...
Okay, hold on, Dr. Eileen Marty. First off,
this
infectious
is the
disease
we can
expert,
never be wrong syndrome.
Yeah, infectious disease expert at Florida International University, playing sociologist here. But if people aren't experiencing being sick or having symptoms, why would they get tested?
Yeah.
They're basically admitting that this doesn't affect you, number one, or that the tests are faulty because if you take a test, you're going to be positive and, we have a big pandemic.
Yeah.
But people aren't
It's because they want you to believe asymptomatic spread, which has been shown in study after study to basically be non-existent.
Yeah. It feels like the stats are so... they're just so obvious. They had to address it, and they had to provide an answer. And this is, you're right. It's we can never be wrong syndrome.
Your community.
Yeah.
Another theory, COVID fatigue. In Michigan, where people are just coming out of lockdown for the first time in months, cases are up more than 100% as demographics shift.
What's different in this wave is these are younger individuals between the ages of 30 and 60, the vast majority of which are not currently vaccinated.
Texas, on the other hand, began reopening its doors months ago and just jammed 40,000 people into the Rangers ballpark, many without masks.
A lot of individuals in the southern part of the U.S., and especially here in Texas, have already been exposed to the coronavirus. So many individuals already have coronavirus antibodies.
That leads us to the risky behavior we've seen in places like Miami Beach, Florida, where numbers have only increased slightly. And theory number 3, that young people are acting as carriers, as doctors say they're returning to other states, taking the virus with them.
Those are the least likely to show up for testing. And when those younger individuals infect older individuals or more vulnerable individuals, that takes time.
Bottom line, health experts say the falling figures in the South might be giving a false sense of security.
Do medical experts worry is emboldening those leaders who said this is a good idea to loosen restrictions?
We worry about if there's a perfect storm brewing. If we remember, this virus always...
It's a storm. The storm's coming, Basil.
Yeah, geez Louise.
It takes 10 to 14 to 21 days to develop. We might just be seeing the early effects of that right now.
Yeah, we're not going to finish up with the rest of it because the guy.
This is the regular stuff. We can never be wrong. If things look good, that means they're actually super bad.
It was just unbelievable to me where they have to bring in these experts to try to explain something that they just so desperately want it to continue. That's the weird part about it.
And that's the thing. They want it to continue.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's a bad thing if it's not continuing. I mean, they basically just say it straight out.
I know. And I think it goes back to these people experienced a level of attention and authority that they've never had before, and they don't want to give that up.
Everybody's staying home, watching the news, getting those advertising dollars.
Yeah, and also these doctors receiving, like the being put on a pedestal. People probably, family, friends, all reaching out to him. Oh, what should we do? Blah blah blah. Being not what's the word I'm looking for? Almost worshipped. I mean, that's not the word I was looking for, but I mean, pretty close.
Priests. They're the priest class of the medical technocracy.
That's right. Yeah. So there you go. That's the the USA Today report there, or not USA Today, Today Show report.
Well, I got that doesn't Today Show, perfect. Okay. Well, I got an article here from Reuters.com. Quote headline: a third of COVID survivors suffer neurological or mental disorders. Says a study.
A third?
A third, 1/3 of COVID survivors suffer neurological or mental disorders.
Yeah.
Interesting categorization there. 1 in 3 COVID-19 survivors in a study of more than 230,000, mostly American participants, were diagnosed with a brain. What?
Patients. You said participants. No biggie.
Oh. With a brain. Okay, hold on. Oh, gosh. My thing is running out of batteries. I got to switch over to a mouse, which is going to be a little traumatic for me, but that's okay.
A physical mouse.
I know. So old school. What am I, an old man? 1 in 3 COVID-19 survivors in a study of more than 230,000, mostly American patients, were diagnosed with a brain or psychiatric disorder within 6 months, suggesting the pandemic could lead to a wave of mental or neurological problems, scientists said on Tuesday. Researchers who conducted the analysis said it was not clear how the virus was linked to psychiatric conditions such as anxiety and depression, but that these were the most common diagnoses among the 14 disorders they looked at.
I know why. I know.
Okay. Yeah.
I know.
Tell us, doctor.
This is a mass psychological operation, and the people that got it have higher levels of anxiety and depression because of the fact that, hey, they could have died. They could have died.
Yes, they were told they were going to die. They were told they were dying. And then once they had it, they had the social stigma of having had it, which means you're a bad person because you didn't wear your mask.
And you can kill your family and friends.
And you probably did kill somebody else's grandma.
There you go. Yeah. So this is one big a symptom of the mass mind control.
Yeah, no kidding. When you set somebody up for trauma, then put them through the trauma, and then stigmatize them for having been traumatized.
Yep.
Post-COVID cases of stroke, dementia, and other neurological disorders were rarer, neurological ones, the ones that have actual physical representations.
I was going to say, if it's all psychological, then by definition, you can call it a psychological operation. But go on. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. Although the individual risks for most disorders are small, the effect across the whole population may be substantial, said Paul Harrison, a professor of psychiatry at Oxford University, who co-led the work. Max Taquet, also an Oxford psychiatrist who worked with Harrison, noted that the study was not able to examine the biological or psychological mechanisms involved, but said urgent research is needed to identify these, quote, with a view to preventing or treating them. And that is the key right there. Said urgent research is needed. This is a funding plea.
Yeah.
This is a funding move, is
we
what
need
it
money.
is. Yes,
how can we continue to receive funding from the pandemic?
Exactly. You've got two psychiatrists from Oxford saying, oh, everybody's so depressed and has mental disorders now because of all this trauma. But we don't know exactly how COVID is linked, but urgent research is needed. So fund the psychiatry department at Oxford and we shall tell you.
Yep.
Health experts are increasingly concerned by evidence of higher risks of brain and mental health disorders among COVID-19 survivors. A previous study by the same researchers. Oh, it just happens to be the same guys who keep getting funded for all this research. Wow, found last year that 20% of COVID-19 survivors were diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder within 3 months. Wow. The new findings published in the Lancet Psychiatry Journal analyzed health records of over 230,000 COVID-19 patients, mostly from the United States, and found 34% had been diagnosed with neurological and psychiatric illnesses within 6 months. Yeah. Duh. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right in the very middle of the trauma-based mind control going on, where they get the disease, stigmatized, told they're bad people for not wearing their masks and killing people's grandmas. They kick the COVID, and then suddenly, I don't have any opportunities for socialization. Everybody thinks they're bad people. Of course, they're going to have some sort of psychiatric illness. I don't know about the neurological part. Who knows? Luckily, I'm sure that this psychiatry program will get funded out the wazoo to tell us exactly what happened.
You know what this is?
What?
It's a
pandemic special.
That's exactly right.
For the researchers there.
Yeah. And just in case you were wondering, like, they do keep saying neurological, like maybe it's a brain destruction thing. Well, it says here anxiety was at 17%. So there you go. They're diagnosed with anxiety during a quote unquote global pandemic after having caught the disease that was supposed to kill them.
Almost 1 in 5.
Weird they have some anxiety about that. And mood disorders, just so eloquently vague at 14%. Vague. Yeah, mood disorders. Oh, you're not in a good mood after you get the thing that killed you and everybody?
I could just picture the researchers, that shows how cold their hearts must be,
Yeah.
Are you in a bad mood or a good mood? Oh, I'm in a real bad mood. Oh.
I'm sure there's some clinical way that they come to call it a mood disorder, but it's a mood disorder.
Yeah. They got some microchips in the brain pumping banana juice or banana smoothie into their mouth while they tell them how their mood is.
Well, so here's this. Anxiety at 17%, mood disorders at 14% were the most common and did not appear to be related to how mild or severe the patient's COVID-19 infection had been.
Hello?
Yeah, because it's not about the COVID-19 infection. All right. Then it goes into, now it does go into some strokes. 7% had strokes within 6 months. Okay.
2% diagnosed with dementia.
Great.
No, it's not.
2% had dementia. Well, most people getting COVID were old people.
Yeah.
What percentage of those people would have been diagnosed with dementia? 2% seems a believably small number.
Yeah.
7% with a stroke. I mean, I don't know the numbers on these things, but it doesn't seem outrageous.
It's so vague and nebulous with just percentages.
Yeah.
There's no other information
you always got to
provided.
watch out with the percentages.
Yeah.
Well, they did give us the base number, 230,000.
Sure.
We could do the math if we wanted. But anyways, this is a very important paper. Oh, this is great. This is a very important paper. It confirms beyond any reasonable doubt that COVID-19 affects both brain and mind in equal measure, said Simon Wesley, chair of psychiatry at King's College in London.
Wait a minute. Can't you replace COVID-19 with nearly anything?
If it confirms without any... look, they don't even try to address. It's so obvious, for us to say within all this social pressure and stigma around catching COVID-19, of course you would have depression. I mean, or anxiety. Think of all the people who never got COVID-19 who got anxiety and depression. That's what they're not talking about here. I mean, the whole world, every single person in Gen Z and millennial generation, except for those who listen to this show, had severe anxiety and depression in response to the messaging and the brainwashing of the story being told about COVID-19, not being able to go to school, not being able to see people, not being able to exercise, not being able to get sun, not being able to do all these things that help stave away anxiety and mood disorders. Yeah. Anyways, they don't even mention that in the article, and there you go. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. But good news for them, lots of money will go into funding their research, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. I can't handle any more of that. So let's go with
keep going.
A couple more stories here to top off the story, off the episode. What am I saying? I'm starting to lose my brain.
I know we can't stop doing long shows, man. This is just
we're trying so hard. Today was especially hard because there's so many stories.
And we skipped a story. We skipped the big one.
Yeah, we did skip a big one. All right, a couple things here.
It's got to be biblical.
This is from CoalLive.com. Mordecai Shapiro and Ben Shapiro at Moshiach, Sweden.
Everybody loves waffles.
And, I don't even want to read the whole thing here. I'm just going to get to the good part. The highlight came in the form of a fulfillment. So let's give you a little bit of context.
Give us some background.
After an over-the-top Yom Tov in an upscale Trump National Doral in Miami, Florida, the luxury Pesach program ended on a high note with an inspiring Moshiach Suda led by Rabbi Avraham Breshevitsky and joined by two famous guests. And I'm going to get to the part where Ben Shapiro did stuff. Okay. The highlight came in the form of a fulfillment of the Rebbe's prophecy that Moshiach will be announced by all the major media. Rabbi Brashevsky emphasized this point in his introduction of perhaps one of the greatest media personalities of our times, as he is in the midst of building a tremendous media empire. He is still a frum yid and a true family man.
Wow.
He spent the entire Pesach in the Trump Doral delivering several powerful, well-attended talks. Ben Shapiro graciously accepted the task of delivering the message of Moshiach's arrival.
Whoa.
Yeah. He did, however, quip jokingly about his uncertainty of CNN willingly announcing that fantastic news. Now, Basil, you know that much to some people who follow the channel and stuff, to their, I guess, chagrin, they didn't like the fact that I tend to latch to the thesis that the Bible explains the man of sin, the Antichrist figure, the yet future man, will present himself as the Jewish Messiah, and you know, be revealed to the world as the Jewish Messiah. Now, of course, the modern form of Judaism, they've been talking about the Moshiach for a long time, the arrival of the Moshiach. But there's something interesting about how this guy's prophecy about all major media announcing it, and then, you know, pinpointing Ben Shapiro specifically as a key player in this. I don't know. There's something unsettling about it, not just because of the waffle stuff. You know,
everybody loves waffles,
but I don't know. What are they preparing?
So, let me real quick. Let me just break this down. So he was at some big event and was being honored by the guy, whoever was in charge of the thing, and asked Ben Shapiro if he would take on the mission of delivering the news that the Messiah was here.
Yes.
And Ben Shapiro said, yes, but I doubt CNN will.
Right.
Very funny, Ben. Okay, so the story is Ben Shapiro has agreed to pass on the news that the Messiah is here.
Yes.
Well, okay, who is it, Ben?
That's he being a media figure that's building his own media empire. I think this is more of a, hey,
this is pretty good PR.
Yeah, the guy who's building the new media empire because fake news can't continue on. And right. I do think we're shifting away from the CNNs and the MSNBCs. Like there are more people watching people like Ben Shapiro and others debunking and like deconstructing all that nonsense than there are people who are really ardent followers of CNN and stuff. At least in this country, I think the shift has already happened.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
I mean, it's Shapiro, obvious the ratings show it.
The ratings show it, and you know, Ben Shapiro's building not just a news empire, but you know, when the whole what was her name? The lady from Mandalorian who was canceled. She Gina Guerrero, I can't remember, Gina something. When she got canceled from Mandalorian, Ben Shapiro's production company picked her up for some, I can't remember. It was like some deal. It was some contract for her to appear in some production for, you know, the Ben Shapiro production team. I can't remember all the names, but basically, yeah, he's building his own media empire that's apart from all this. And so, you know, I know that this is part of Ben probably being a little cordial for the situation, but still,
I was going to give him a little bit of that break.
Right.
Yeah, he gets brought up on stage.
Yeah.
The guy's saying all nice things. He's like, Ben, will you help spread the message that the Messiah is here? What is he going to say in front of a crowd of people?
A crowd of Jewish
I don't think
people.
I will. Yeah. I'd rather not. I kind of have my own stuff going on.
He should have said, well,
everybody loves waffles.
To kind of like, you know, move away, sell his stuff.
He did get kind of buffaloed into that position, so we'll see what he actually does.
Right. But you know, again, there's two sides to it. You know, there's kind of the alarming side of like, okay, are they really preparing the American media to all at once, or the world media to announce the arrival of Moshiach?
Well, they got to wait for the alien.
I know. I really, again, I think they're either way, they're planning to do something. You know, I'm not really getting off that train of like they're preparing at least for a big change.
Yeah.
And that's part of this next story here too. And speaking
so would
of
that
change,
make Ben one of the two witnesses?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. What if he starts shooting fire around?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, yeah. This last story here. From New York Times. You want to get this, or you want me to?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was distracted.
A tiny particle's wobble could upend the known laws of physics.
Oh, good.
Experiments with particles.
You gotta read them.
Yeah, experiments with particles known as muons suggest that there are forms of matter and energy vital to the nature and evolution of the cosmos that are not yet known to science.
Woo!
Yeah.
Did we talk about the muons recently?
A little bit. But yeah, This is another story. This one's New York Times too, so they're really getting it out there. And we don't have to dig into the story really because it is similar to the story we had a couple days ago. But it speaks to this idea that I really think they're going to start releasing, just this notion of like, hey, the standard model of physics needs a revival or a revisement or whatever. And we need to include the physics that explains, or partially at least explains all the UFOs out there that the government is basically admitting to seeing all over the place.
Maybe that's part of the disclosure.
That's what I'm saying. I really think this is part of the disclosure. You have to shake up.
Gonz, it feels like you are where I was right before the 2012 Olympics.
No, because
you are you're on the edge, man.
No,
you're ready.
I don't think I'm on the edge.
Ready for those aliens. You're pretty confident.
No. I'm not saying aliens are going to appear. Your whole thing was like the aliens are going to come down during the opening ceremony.
Yeah. I thought for sure a UFO would land and like aliens would walk out during the Olympics and do their thing.
Like EDM just pumping through the stadium.
It turns into a rave.
Yeah, the whole rave. Aliens come out with glow sticks and everyone's cheers.
They're like, we would like to compete in your human sports.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I do think that we're really seeing a lot of shakeup. That's all I'm saying. Like the COVID-19 thing started it all, and the changes and the shakeup and the restructuring of everything, not just economically, but now in the world of physics. That just happens to come right at a time when we're I mean, I guess they've always talked about the potentials of like breaking physics and going beyond the understood notions of the universe and all that. But the breakthroughs are coming in the news headlines now, and that's why I think they're really starting to prepare the masses and prepare at least the establishments, the ivory towers of education and institution to accept this new paradigm. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe nothing changes, and we go back to I don't know.
Go back to sleep, humans.
Yeah, go back to sleep, and we peddle some other thing.
Well, with the Messiah thing and the alien thing and the muon thing, certainly things are lining up in a way that they have not. I will say. They're lining up in a way that they haven't since the 2012 Olympics.
No. I was going to say that with the 2012 Olympic thing, all you had was like Illuminati cards and
there's the Mayan calendar.
The Mayan calendar, okay.
Mayan calendar, and there's a number of things. But it's yeah.
What
I mean,
else?
I can't remember. I'd have to go listen to episodes of the show back then.
Liar!
Yeah, but if you want to listen to Basil as he's in the thick of believing that certainly aliens are landing any day, go listen to Canary Cry radio episodes from 2012, late 2012. Okay, good?
Yeah. There was one more. Where did my ISO go? I had an ISO earlier from Alex Jones about the aliens. Oh, here we go.
We were made by the aliens.
Yeah, see? It's all lining up. I'm telling you.
Lining up. Oh, Gonz. Oh, Gonz. Okay. I think that's it. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I got to get out of here. We're very late.
And I'm having to use a computer mouse now.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, folks. That is the end of the show. You're welcome. Make sure to tune back in on Monday, April 12th. That's right. Monday, April 12th. And if you haven't done it yet, please like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff.
Oh, yes.
Oh, he's losing it, folks.
Sorry.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
That's right. Make sure to do that. Put it on your calendar.
In the chat, Jared Kushner. Yeah, there's another Jared. Yeah, another thing. Another dot. Another tack to add to the wall.
Oh my gosh, it's all coming together.
To the corkscrew.
It's all coming together. Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, Siri. Okay, Google. Put it on my calendar. April 12th, Monday. Canary Cry News Talk going live. There, I just activated everybody's robot butlers to put it on the calendar.
Nobody that listens to the show has a robot butler or a...
You would be surprised. Okay. Yes. So we'll see you back here on Monday, folks. If you haven't done it yet, make sure to subscribe to the RSS feed. That's fancy talk for subscribing to the podcast. Use whatever podcast player you want. I guarantee you there will come a day where you will be so sad that you did not subscribe to the podcast feed. We post the podcast version after every episode. The audio quality is much higher, and if our live streaming capabilities go down, we will still have the podcast go up, and so you want to be able to receive that. Thank you to all of our producers. My goodness, so much for supporting this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 322. Thank you to producers James, Frankie, Jacob, Classy, Sarah, Kara, The Bush, The Protector, Arnold, Vladimir, Shield Labs, Malik, and Ted. And a big old thank you to our co-executive producers for today's show, producer Joshua and producer Stephen, or Stefan. And thank you to all of our artists and musicians. We didn't have any musicians this time, but thank you to all of our artists and producers of all kinds, especially Jade Bouncerson and team for the timestamps. And remember, folks, if you're out there, maybe you haven't found a way to become part of the show yet, email jadebouncerson@gmail.com and get involved with the timestamps, okay? It's time to give back, folks. It's the only way this model works. And, but like I said, it's not the only way to support the show is financially, but you can also send in your artwork, send your music, send your jingles, send all that fun stuff to canarycryradio@gmail.com if you like it easy, and canarycryradio@protonmail.com if you like to keep it secret. And also, if you haven't done it yet, oh my gosh, Gonz, I didn't read reviews.
Oh, no.
Oh. Okay, we'll do that. I think we'll try to do it Monday. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I know. So we're going to be reading reviews on the show. If you haven't done so yet, leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you listen to the show that lets you leave ratings and reviews. That's 5 stars, baby. Give us those 5 stars. Tell us why you like the show, and we'd love to feature you.
Did you forget to mention Malik's name or something?
No, I mentioned Malik.
Okay, he has like a sad crying face. I don't know if it's because you forgot to mention or if it was because he's just sad that we're ending the show for today.
It could be anything. Who knows what's going on in Malik's head?
Okay. Sorry. Just looking at the chat.
Thanks again, Malik, if I forgot to mention you. I don't think I did. Okay. Where was I? Leave ratings and reviews. And also, here's the thing, folks, just share the show, please. Share it on your social media. Share it on your mailing list. Share it on just tell your friends. Tell them about the show, because you got friends and family who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And here's the thing, folks, we call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
Now,
want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, just ask Noah. And hey, if you're a Gen Z or a younger millennial out there, share the show out on your Instagram or your Snapchat or your TikTok. Whatever the Lord has placed in front of you, use it to his glory by sharing Canary Cry News Talk. Gonz, any last words?
Nope. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for the big support from the producers today.
Really means a lot, producers. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody. There you go. We'll be back April 12th. That's Monday. Be here or else. But thanks for listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Are you even woke?
He's a Satanist. Sinful generation!
Stop this progress before it is too late.
They are scum. Hallelujah.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
Come on, man.
Aborted feces.
Boy, it's really a productive segment, man.
Aborted feces.
Keep yapping, man. Never do a Slim Jim.
Aborted feces.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
While the world is waiting for a savior, in the meantime, do me a favor. Don't be surprised the world you live in. Same old story, it always has been. Rich and powerful plot to control us. Proud and evil and soulless. Take your shots and mask your face. It don't help, do it anyway. So what if the death counts the same as last year? You test positive, now you're on a respirator. Biding our time, biding our tongues, losing our mind and killing our young. Biding our time, biding our tongues, losing our minds, killing our young. Disconnected from the real world, unessential and virtual. You can't work and you can't play. Better be careful what you say. Re-educate you the Eastern way. Corruption so deep, it's everything they say. Stay home and stay away. Don't go to work, don't get paid. Take your shots and mask your face. it don't help do it anyway. So what if the death count's the same as last year? You test positive, now you're on a respirator. Biding our time and biting our tongues, losing our minds and killing our young. Biding our time and biting our tongues, losing our minds and killing our young. Biding our time and biting our tongues, losing our minds and killing our young. Biding our time and biting our tongues, losing our minds, killing our young. Biding our time, biding our time.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo.
Are you even woke?
I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo.
We're made by the aliens.
You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo.
They are scum.
I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo.
Everybody loves waffles.
You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
Come on, man.
And melt those babies into candles. We should invite fewer people to be born.
Oh, man.
Science is truth. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
This is deep.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. Nazis are not welcome you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.